Superstar gymnast Simone Biles withdrew from team competition following one rotation, opening the door for the team of Russian athletes to win gold for the first time since 1992. But in the pool, another superstar earned her first gold medal of the Games. Katie Ledecky bounced back to win the first ever gold medal in the women's 1,500 meter freestyle at the Olympics. It came about an hour after her fifth place finish in the 200 freestyle. In Major League Baseball, the Braves crushed the Mets 12-5 behind two Austin Riley home runs. That included a grand slam. Atlanta will throw ace Max Fried against New York tonight with a chance to pull within 3 games of the Mets' lead in the NL East and get back to 500 for the first time this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Now it's time for Jason Martin and Vol for Life.
Foster at JMart Radio at Schaefer on Sports.
Did you hear Andrew drop the Twitter sound a second ago?
Yeah, I heard that.
Hey, shout out to Andrew, man.
Coming after the man's throne.
We had a guy yesterday that said no Andrews can be trusted. Well, Andrew behind the glass. What's that? He's right.
He's right.
That was just a direct shot at Buck.
any chance he get, he's taking it, right? Oh, here we go, hump day, Jay. We're halfway home, y'all. Halfway home in the work week.
Yep. And for the Tennessee Titans and teams across this league, it's the beginning of the work week.
It's the beginning. It's the most wonderful time. Is that cool? Oof. Is it the most wonderful time of the year? Oof. Is it the singing or the time of the year? Which one was bad?
It was you saying wonderful.
Yeah, I flubbed my words. Cool.
Wonderful.
I didn't really know if I was trying to do that this early in the morning.
Yeah, maybe wait till the second hour.
Wait till the second hour. Okay. All right.
You get fully lubed up before you do something like that.
Gotta get lubed up.
David Beauclair next hour for Sports Illustrated. Matt Mosley, who I've hosted a couple of times with on Fox Sports Radio. Yeah. He's out of Dallas in the Texas area. We're going to talk to him, of course, about SEC expansion, as well as maybe a little bit of Cowboys talk. Rhett Bryan a little earlier than usual in the third hour before he heads out to training camp. And Inky will join us at the end of the show, of course.
Much needed.
Send us out on the proper way. But here we go. Footballs are going to be in the air. Footballs are going to be in the hand.
Yeah, they are.
Footballs are going to have everybody's eyeballs. And now we are this is now that moment where you realize the season has arrived.
Yes, it has. It was cool yesterday too, seeing Derrick Henry get his last promotional video out the way too. Did you see some of that? The guy trained tremendously this summer, and you can tell, man, it looked awesome. That's one aside from this defense being pieced together. Him and the questions around what else can he do is what I'm most looking forward to, Jay. We heard a little bit yesterday we heard all of Vrabel's presser during Buck's show. And one thing that he brought up was Lawan and Saffold just being ready and in shape and motivated. And that's got to be good for 22. That guy's, we've seen all the lifts he's did from med balls to chains on his neck to him standing on a balance pad and stiff arming everybody that's around him. Saw him yesterday in this promo video. I never seen this, but he was practicing with 2 footballs in his hand, making cuts and working on balance. You look at him and you're like, man, how are you this strong? And I think it's a little bit of him being a tall, lean athlete. But what you see him focus on for the most part in his workouts isn't a bunch of just like strength and throwing weight around. It's balance. It's working on his small muscles more than anything. I saw somebody was like, well, I figured he would have more muscles than this when he was showing his lifts and stuff. But I think he's working on what's right for his style of play, man. That's his tendons. That's his small muscle groups and just the ability to cut. That might be the biggest storyline, I think, besides Julio and what AJ is going to do this year is what exactly can Derrick Henry do more of? Or what's going to be his playing level this year as opposed to, what is it, every other running back that hits their 6th year in the league? And then this post-2,000-yard conversation that always seems to come up. What is Vrabel going to do with him? The 17th game, is he ready for it? Is anybody ready for that? We get a bonus this year, Jay. We get 1 extra, man.
That's right. We do.
So
and then we're going to figure out what that looks like for a lot of these teams. And I hope we're not going to be talking about, well, this is why we didn't want to do this, because you have all these bad things happen.
Man, I hope that's not the case. For the guys' sake, because they're going to be the ones that have to deal with that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it was voted on and was signed upon. You get there's give and take when negotiating. One of those things is guys got a bump in pay as far as minimum goes. And then there's just the fans get more. Teams get more.
Packers get Randall Cobb probably.
The fact that we're talking about that trade, that is a trade. That is a headline trade. Not because I ain't going to be disrespectful to Randall Cobb because he's a Pro Bowl. He's actually a Tennessee,
had
Tennessee
a nice
guy.
Career.
Got a ring.
He's had a nice career.
Yeah. But that's a headline right now because of who?
Because Aaron Rodgers likes him, so he wants him in the building.
Yeah. That's to be wanted like that, Jay.
That's a real LeBron kind of move, though. That's a LeBron kind of move. That's the kind of thing LeBron James does, where he's like, he's my friend. I'm going to play with him. Like an older veteran guy who will just trail with him, even though there's not really a purpose for him. At that point, it's like, no, I just kind of want him here anyway. He's going to make us better. We'll find out. Randall Cobb at this point in time, Tyler Dunn called him decomposing wide receiver. Randall Cobb yesterday in his piece of Go Long TD, which was not particularly flattering towards Aaron Rodgers in this situation.
I actually thought he was an A-Rod fan.
I was pretty sure he wasn't.
I just thought he was just telling the truth on how it was and surrounding that situation, but he ripped him a good one, Jay. Well, wow.
Here's one part I didn't read yesterday. The Packers should know all risk involved. Team Wynn knows how petty, how petulant Rodgers can be day to day. It's a team president who told him not to be the problem 2 years ago. It's a team that knows this is someone who has zero problem eliminating family and friends from his life.
Wow.
If he's willing to do stuff with his family, this is a quote from somebody inside, Wallace.
Somebody inside?
Yeah. If he's willing to do this stuff with his family where the relationships went south, then obviously what makes you think he wouldn't do the same thing with the organization?
Dang. They got real personal. But kind of revealed some stuff about it. I mean, we knew this about him.
Look, that would be it would sort of be fun to cover that up close and personal. We cover the league, so we're covering it close enough. I'm glad we're covering a team that looks like they're together.
Yeah.
And have been together and been ready to get out there and do this. So we didn't ever really do this yesterday. I think today's probably the day with camp opening up to discuss what the big time storylines are at this point. Like what are the question marks? What's yet to be determined? And the ones that I wrote down first, and I went across this yesterday with John Glennon, the secondary and the pass rush. Todd Downing in for Arthur Smith. Ferkser and the tight end spot.
Yep.
The kicking situation being figured out.
Yep.
And take your pick. Either Henry having 2,000 yards again or Tannehill taking the next step alongside weapons and nobody really been able to deny at the end of this year what he's been able to accomplish. And I think the last one, unfortunately, ain't going to happen because if he does accomplish a lot, the credit's going to go to them for making him instead of him. The Miami stuff's never going to leave him, man.
No, ever going to leave him. And that's it's
unfair.
It is unfair. And again, he's delivering and doing all things you need him to do. He's an above-the-line guy. We're talking about teams that have good quarterbacks and teams that have bad quarterbacks. He is a good quarterback in this league, man. But everything is going to be attributed to everybody else but him. Again, Derrick Henry's situation is Derrick Henry's team. Also saw Brett Kearns yesterday with an awesome shirt on, stiff-arming Josh Norman until has he landed yet? Is he on the team right now too, by the way?
Who?
Josh Norman.
That's a good question.
Huh. That's what happens.
Maybe he was with Elon Musk. Well, that's where Elon Musk found him.
Elon Musk.
That's where he landed after the stiff arm last year.
It is, for real, man. But to that last point, though, Jay, we're talking about the top 5
he's free
or
agent.
6. He's a free agent?
Yep.
I bet he's going to be free for a little bit. Well, that last point you made about, Tannehill and what it's going to take to actually get the old pat on the back, man, that, hey, you're really good. I think he's in a position where the players and coaches are going to know that, hey, you're legit, man. They don't roll unless you roll also. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been a situation like that where you play against a guy or you don't necessarily the masses don't know him as a household name, but the coaching staff do. The scouting department does. And some of the fans do. And that's the beauty of what football is. It's no matter what. If your team is winning and you are a big part of that, you really don't care who get the credit. It's just a matter of getting dubs and marching on to the end of the year, man. That's the beautiful part of it. But, of course, Titans Nation, they don't like the idea that he's not a name guy. And I think a lot of them just are at the point now, too, where you just don't care. We are who we are, and he is who he is. As long as you continue to win, nothing else matters, man. Winning cures all, and that's the beauty of what we have going on in all of sports, though, man. Is at the end of the day, do you check that? Do you check the box as far as wins and losses and doing your jobs? And he does. I like it. The national media is going to always run with a storyline. The national media is always going to say, hey, it's this guy, that guy. They need a guy. And Ryan Tannehill isn't a part of the quarterback club that everybody wants him to be, although you have some guys I think are less skilled or not in the same era as him, but they're going to push who they want to push for the most part. The Baker Mayfield conversation is something, or you have, let's say, the young guy Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, and I think he's going to be good, but we project and give flowers sometimes to guys that I don't think necessarily have earned them just yet. I like the idea of they can be young studs in this league, but this is kind of a bad look when it comes to the coverage of Tannehill.
It is. And I guess the thing Nashville can always feel like, or at least the fans here can always feel like, is who cares? Like, they don't care about our guy as long as he's winning games.
Yeah.
It ultimately doesn't matter.
But it's the quarterback, though. It's the quarterback.
It sucks. It's just, I do think there is a piece of this where if you want to go back to anything Delaney did say that was accurate, him playing in Tennessee doesn't help in terms of the national media talking about it. I mean, think about this. This morning I'm on the drive in, and I'm listening to a national radio show that's got a Patriots reporter on to discuss that quarterback spot. For all intents and purposes, and talking about Cam Newton and talking about, oh, what a great year it's going to be for the Patriots.
Right.
Are they talking about that because that's the most relevant thing in the NFL right now?
No.
Or are they talking about it because it's the New England Patriots?
They talking about it because it's New England.
Right.
Period.
Like, Delaney wasn't entirely wrong with what he said. There were some things I disagreed with, but him playing here always puts him a little bit behind the 8 ball.
Mm-hmm.
We're ahead of the 8 ball. 615-737-1045, 737-1045. As camp is here, how excited are you? What's on your mind today? We'll take your phone calls. You can tweet us at JMart and Ramon. We'll continue to run down some of the biggest headlines that are happening as camp is opening up. We'll give you thoughts across the league as well. We have a loaded show in terms of guests once we get to the second hour of this show, so it's wide open for you right now, fam, if you want to get in. 737-1045. We'll be right back, off and running here on this Wednesday. JMart and Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Coming up today on Blaine and Mickey.
We'll get a Titans training camp report from John Glennon of Broadway Sports after day 1 on the practice field.
And we continue our trip around the SEC, talking Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss with Nick Suss of the Clarion Ledger.
Today, starting at 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's JMart. Next time you're at home, if you're noticing doors and windows sticking, your chimney leaning, your basement wall bowing, cracks in your bricks, cracks in your concrete, your drywall separating, your house might be trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you, hey, I got a foundation issue and needs to be taken care of. When it comes to foundation repair, nobody does it better than United Structural Systems. USS has been doing this since '94, over 25 years serving Middle Tennessee. Integrity and reputation impeccable. A-plus rating with a Better Business Bureau, and USS is locally owned, not a franchise. It means you're helping out this community, and it means that you're working with a company that understands this area. They can customize a solution for you, spend time in your home, and give you the solution depending on your specific needs. United Structural Systems gives you a detailed free estimate before you have to make any kind of a decision. And as always, you don't pay a dime until that work is completely done and you are fully satisfied. Over 20,000 happy customers and counting. You can be the next one. Call United Structural Systems. It'll be a good decision. Those foundation issues don't go away on their own, and they don't get cheaper either. 615-227-2275, 227-2275. Place that phone call today. It'll be a really good choice. Or visit them online at ussTN.com. United Structural Systems.
HomeLoanExpert.com. The housing market is on fire, and homes are selling day one on the market.
Bills, yes. Miami,
No.
not with Tua. Not until I
Nope.
see more. Patriots,
No. Not this year. They
I
got
don't
some
think
good
so
pieces. I'm
they'll have a better year.
I don't know about the quarterback position. I don't see Mac Jones being a rookie that's going to take him to the promised land. Cam is solid. I just don't know about that one.
Jets, no.
No.
Ravens, you got to say yes, even though I'm not going to be picking them to go very
I'm going to
far.
say no.
I mean, they can win a Super Bowl.
I just don't see them as a real contender.
I don't have them in the
Like,
playoffs,
I
but
feel
I'm saying that
Oh,
you
they-
have to. I think you have to include them in yes.
You don't have them in the playoffs?
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Nice.
That's my hot take this year. Is I don't think the
Oh.
Ravens make the postseason.
Ravens don't make the postseason this year. They do have a tough division to go into this year, too. We're
Got a
talking
tough
about
division. They still got the same OC.
Roman and not Reigns.
Yep.
Whew, okay. All right.
Cincinnati, no.
No.
Cleveland, yes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying
And-
the talent is there.
Yeah, the talent is there.
talent
And
is there is what I mean by this.
Cleveland has been so quiet this offseason.
What we're going to do is we're going to do this, and then we're going to speak behind the mug
Yeah.
about the ones we actually think can win.
Okay. All right.
Pittsburgh, no.
No, not this year. They got a good shot of being a good team. I got them making the playoffs. Some people don't have them making the playoffs this year.
Houston,
Cully was
Sorry.
right, though. To his friend that called in and defended them and all of this, like, you remember that phone call. Cully was right. He said Deshaun's going to play. He said this in a real mafia underboss type of tone, too. You remember how it was just like, he going to play for the Houston Texans. You remember that whole conversation at Pressers? He was like, he's a Houston Texan. We'll see him in camp. And lo and behold, dadgummit, he's there. And he still got trade value.
no, that's right.
He still got trade value.
Yeah.
Whew.
Houston, Indy. Indy, the answer you're
Quarterback.
supposed to say is yes. I can't even say yes in the supposed to because of Carson Wentz.
We
I just
talk-
got to see it now. If he shows up like he did 3 years ago, okay, we'll have a different discussion.
Talent. Okay, all right. We're going to go off talent. Yes.
Talent, Indy. Okay, all right.
All
Fine.
right, for sure. For sure.
Jacksonville,
In that case,
Jacksonville, no.
no.
Tennessee,
absolutely.
yes.
Yes.
Denver, no, because
No.
of Bridgewater. I just want to see if Bridgewater's as accurate as we have seen him be at times in his career. I think they could be better than people think with their quarterback
But
situation.
not Super Bowl contender. As far as competing in the
They've
West,
got a Super
though,
Bowl roster, but they don't have a quarterback you would put down.
absolutely
right now.
Where, as Ryan Clark thanked Aaron Rodgers yesterday, and I quote tweeted it, like, who's next year's, who's 2022's guy? If it's Aaron Rodgers again, I see that as you've kind of projected for a while.
Well, the odds came out yesterday. It said
They
next
are-
team. It said Aaron Rodgers 2022, and it was Packers plus 300, Broncos plus 350. So it was that close. I still believe if he goes anywhere else, that's where he goes.
But the reason you're saying yes on the Broncos being a contender, yes, no, you say yes, no, is because they're wide receivers.
They have a contending roster. Yeah, the wide receivers. They drafted the running back out of North Carolina
Yes, they
to go
did.
with Melvin Gordon.
The offensive line got munched there. That's enough for me. I'll be honest
And the
with you.
defense is still the defense.
Defense is
is
still-
still very, very talented. They added Surtain to it. So I like the roster. I don't think they have the quarterback this year.
Okay.
Kansas City, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Vegas, they're kind of borderline. I would say no.
They are. I'm not all in on Vegas either.
Me either. Chargers, I'll say
I don't really like their roster, Vegas, but
the Chargers, I would say, yeah, you can probably throw them in the
if he has a if Herbert has a Josh Allen type of step in
well,
year two,
if he plays as well, but everybody plays as well around him as he played for them last year,
yeah,
then they've got a shot.
facts.
It may be still a little too soon.
They shore up
but
their
they're-
offensive
they're
line
They're
this
close.
year, yeah,
They're close.
but not yet. No, is what we're saying.
Dallas,
Yes,
I guess.
I'm higher on Dallas this year for some reason.
I guess. I think people are too high again on them, but I think that's because people know that if you start talking about the Cowboys on TV, ratings go up.
This is just say that's low hanging fruit right there.
Pretty much. That's light
Okay.
work.
Yeah,
That is light work. The Giants,
No,
I think
not yet.
they're a better team. This is a year where either Danny Dimes becomes Josh Allen from last year, or they realize they don't have the guy.
So, and that's what I was going to say. So the turnover on the young quarterback is 3 years is what we're giving them. Is that what it's turned into now? It used to be like 4, 5.
Well, that was when you weren't starting as often as a rookie.
That's true.
When you start early, you've had nearly 3 years to look, and you've been able to see growth from year 1 to 3, and you can kind of figure out there. All right, well, what's this guy's ceiling going to be? I think 3 years is usually about it for a lot of guys now. Philadelphia, no.
Philly, no.
Washington, I think people are a little high on them, but I do like Fitzpatrick.
I do, but Fitzy always finds a way to.
Well, you find a way to do good and then do bad things.
Exactly. So no on that one.
Yeah, I would say the same. Bears, no, even though they need to put Fields out there quickly. That's if we were, and I said it at the time, I was disappointed Denver didn't draft Justin Fields.
Yeah, they picked Surtain
because they were and I like Surtain.
Yeah.
But I really like Justin Fields a lot.
Okay, that's fine. But what if it had gotten to the point, Jay, where they kind of said we're going to find a free agent quarterback next year, whether it be Russ or whether it be Aaron Rodgers, so we may as well shore up the defense. I don't know if they thought that far.
That may be. I mean, they may have still been thinking about Deshaun Watson as well.
That's true too, and
I don't still there.
It is. So they got 3 quarterbacks potentially that are veterans that they can make a play for next year.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Detroit, certainly not. Green Bay, yes.
Yes. Still.
Minnesota, I would say no.
No, but they'll have a really good offense, I think, still.
They might, yeah.
The Neil Hunter is still looking for a new deal, and they just got some pieces they got to put together.
You like Jefferson and Thielen. Love Cook as long as he's healthy.
Rudolph's still
Cousins,
there.
to me, is very average.
Yeah. But he got
Rudolph's gone.
Gotcha. Is he a free agent?
No, I think he's with the Giants. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Hang on a second. I'm gonna do this in real time.
Hey.
He may still be sitting out there actually. Yeah, he's with the Giants.
Kyle Rudolph with
the Giants.
That could help out Danny Dimes,
him and Evan Ingram, 2 tight ends. Yeah,
that'll be good for Danny Dimes, veteran guy.
All right. Atlanta, no.
No, not this year.
Carolina, no.
No.
Saints, to me, no.
No. They got too many moving parts right now in that franchise.
Tampa Bay, yes.
Yes.
Arizona, no.
You say no?
Yeah.
Give AZ a shot.
Kingsbury, man.
I know, but maybe they get past them. For that, the roster-wise, I say yes.
That division, I think they're 4th in that division.
That's another thing we got to talk about, too. Let's go to 2 hardest divisions in the NFL after a while.
It's the NFC. Yeah, okay. And the Rams is a yes. The Niners is still probably a yes.
Yeah, sleeper. Who was it yesterday that called them a sleeper type?
I don't know if they're sleeper. It's just how much faith you have in Garoppolo. And I don't have very much, which makes me wonder, okay, well, are we moving towards Trey Lance sooner rather than later? Or is Garoppolo just going to be the caretaker of the offense for a year for Shanahan to help Trey Lance ease into it?
That's got to suck.
Seattle's yes.
Still a yes. It all depends on Russ and how he's feeling with this OC. It's a lot of questions around the league, man.
So, I mean, we didn't name that many teams there. But now we can cut it even further and say, all right, who has a real chance? Not just the on-paper talent chance. Who has a real chance to win? Buffalo? Yes.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to go to the next one I feel like has a real chance. Cleveland? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee? Yes, for me.
Yep.
KC? Yes.
Yep. That's 4.
Green Bay? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Tampa Bay? Yes. And then you can throw L.A., San Francisco, and Seattle all in there.
L.A., San Fran, and who else was
Seattle.
Left? Seattle.
So that's what, 9?
Yep, 9. 9 teams really can.
So, again, everybody has hope today because no one's lost.
Yeah.
No one's even played a preseason game to start worrying about draft picks or all these other things.
Yep.
But I think you got 9 teams right now where I'm like, those teams can win. Could any other teams win? Sure, anybody can win. But can anybody really win? No, that's not usually how it works.
I think the thing that's the difference between the NFL and college is the college ones, what do we got? 4, maybe 5 teams that legitimately can win the national championship.
Sometimes less than 4.
Sometimes less than
Most
that,
times,
yes.
usually it's less than 4, actually. It wasn't 4 last year.
No, it was not. No, it wasn't even close last year. But there are so many different variables when it comes down to the NFL that's different than college. Like at any point in time, Detroit can offset let's say Green Bay or a team outside of the division where that win-loss record actually means much more than what college teams got going on. And you can have one of these teams, like you said, the last three, LA, San Fran, and the Seahawks. Two of those teams, two of those teams can be on the outside looking in, depending on, let's say, if Washington does happen to get in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Because as far as the division goes, as you said a second ago, the NFC West is going to be a fist fight every single week.
The NFC West is the most loaded division in the NFL.
Yes.
Again.
After that,
I think the AFC North is pretty, because I think Cincinnati is better.
They're going to make a play this year.
And I think that even though I'm not very high on Pittsburgh this year, Pittsburgh's still got a lot of talented players. And they've got I think a very driven Ben Roethlisberger at the very least. Baltimore is never going to be easy to beat.
Never.
I just think teams are going to be able to pick them off a little bit more often. And then Cleveland's one of the better rosters in the league.
Yeah, they're one of the better rosters. They've been quiet this offseason. I'll give Pittsburgh more credit this year than last year for sure. I think that defense is still elite. They got 4 or 5 wide receivers that can play on anybody's team. Young Najee, 2 tight ends, as much as whatever people think about Ebron. But I think they're going to be better than given credit for this year, as opposed to some teams like, let's say, people are high up on Washington. I'm like, why are you that high up on it? There's not much there to that team. But Ron Rivera has proven to get teams going. He's proven to be a winning head coach. So we'll see what their culture, if their front office in Washington can back away for a little bit, Jay.
Yeah, that's true. And then I honestly think if you want to look at other divisions, I think that the AFC West is actually a pretty solid division.
Yes.
Raiders are not going to be an easy out. The Chargers are better. Kansas City is a Super Bowl favorite, not just they can win. And then Denver is going to be better, and they have a lot of talent. So if you look at the West and the North, I think they're similar in that Cincinnati's going to be better. Denver is going to be better. Denver's better than Cincinnati, I think, except that Cincinnati has a quarterback.
Yeah, they have a quarterback, but they got to get that line together, and they got a good running back. They need depth at wide receiver, too. The thing that's going to be most interesting, though, to me about Kansas City is they're still working in 2 new tackles. And I know they're favorites, and they have the kid. They got Patrick Mahomes. But the spot that nobody's really looking at or giving, I ain't going to say way too much credit or just dismissing it as, okay, it's plug and play, it's Orlando Brown Jr. going there. I like him as a player. He's very solid. When he played well at left tackle, but the thing is, when you got to play a monster off the edge 2 times a year in Von Miller and also Chubb, and then you got to go to Denver too, that's something to be considered, man. I mean, they rebuilt this offensive line. I think they're going to be fine, but we saw what happened last year in the Super Bowl when it comes down to defenses and the rushes that he got to face. It's gonna the AFC West does have some rushers. Yannick Ngakoue is in Las Vegas rushing. Max Crosby is another solid rusher in that division. Like I said, you mentioned what Denver got, and then you got to think the Chargers always got 1 or 2 guys that know how to play good defense, or they know how to get to the quarterback. That division might not be as much of a cakewalk to
it's more that the floor is higher there. It's that the worst team is still a threat.
Yeah,
as opposed to the worst team just being a tomato can.
Yes,
in some of these other divisions.
Yep.
Like 100%. I don't think the Eagles are going to be good. I think is
the NFC East still the bottom right now? If we're looking at all divisions.
I guess. I mean, Dallas, the Giants, and Washington, they all have the potential to be decent to pretty good. The NFC North, you've got the Bears with a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
On a year where
you got Andy Dalton.
No, you got a Bears with a rookie quarterback. Detroit, both those teams also have. Well, Detroit has a new coach. Chicago knows. Matt Nagy knows if he doesn't have a good year, he's going to be out
of there.
As is the GM.
Yes, sir.
You got Green Bay should be one of the best teams in the league, assuming they can come together.
And assuming they get Randall Cobb.
Right. Cobb's the answer.
Yep.
And then Minnesota is just kind of average.
They're just stuck in the middle right now, Minnesota.
I think the South, the NFC South and AFC South, Jaguars will be a little better, but they're not going to be. They're still.
Do you see them above 500?
No.
Okay. That's what I want to see. I really want to see how Urban Meyer handled that.
I want to see how he handles losing when he's used to losing once a year. And he's going to be losing 8 or 9 times if they're good, if they've had a good year.
And he's got the guy. He's got the guy when it comes down to ultimate draft picks and Trevor Lawrence.
Houston, though, Indy, I mean, if Wentz falls apart early, good Lord. Yeah. That becomes sort of the other issue there. And then I think the NFC South, like the Falcons, what are the Falcons now? What is Kyle Pitts going to be able to do? Carolina's got Sam Darnold. You want to talk about question marks in the division? Jameis or Taysom Hill, Sam Darnold, and what the Falcons are with a new head coach who's coming in with expectations based on what he did offensively here.
And pressure.
A rookie, Kyle Pitts, that's the highest rated rookie in Madden 22, but no more Julio.
Mm-hmm.
What is that going to mean for Matt Ryan? What's it going to mean for Calvin Ridley? What's it going to mean for that team? So I think you could look at them. I would say that, I don't know, I try to think optimistically when I look at all these divisions. What's good about these divisions? I do think, though, I think that the best argument, the NFC West is the best in football.
I think the NFC West is the best.
Just like they were last year, as long as they're healthy, which, of course, they weren't last year. San Francisco getting taken apart from a health standpoint. If they are, then I think that division is loaded. The Rams, the Niners, the Seahawks, any of the three of them could potentially get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Seahawks take the next step now that Schottenheimer's out the door. They've got a new OC. That means something.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely means something. So we came up with 9 teams. We were like, yeah, okay.
Legitimately has a run. Have a chance to make a run for the Super Bowl.
Not just on paper kind of deals. The on paper thing is if everything goes right, if they all play to their potential, then they can win a Super Bowl. And I think we had maybe 12 teams there.
Mm-hmm.
But it is the season. As we begin, now everybody's looking for every update. The only thing that I don't care about, and you'll hear about that plenty, is this guy dropped a pass today.
I know.
In camp. Like, you want to talk about stuff that means nothing to me? That is stuff that means nothing to me.
Or when you know that a veteran got a designated off day and people make a big deal out of it, like, stop. Nope. It's the preseason. Just get them to the game day, man. That's all you need.
A question that Cuzzo Mike asked a little while ago on Zone TV where they're just having their own conversation.
Yeah, they are.
Right now, for sure they are. A couple of newcomers I see popping up as well. But Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, and Periscope. I'm hanging out in the room on YouTube right now. And I think we're logged in on Twitch as well here on my laptop. But Cuzzo Mike asked, with the Raiders, is Gruden part of the problem or is it the roster? We'll talk a little bit about that. We're going to jump back into, however, big-time Titans topics as we approach the season. David Beauclair will join us in the second hour. We'll be able to get into a lot of that. Also need to, I guess, talk about what Vrabel said about vaccinations yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, every coach in the league is going to have to address that a different way. Ron Rivera certainly addressed it.
Yeah.
In a pretty
he laid it out.
Pretty overt, open way yesterday, at least his feelings on it. So we'll do that when we come back. 615-737-1045. We missed somebody. You tell us. Oh, no, this team could win a Super Bowl. Just if you say Detroit, just know that you're getting blocked. Just know and if you're saying the Houston Texans, just know that you're getting blocked.
Yeah.
Because David Culley's the head coach there.
I'm hands off for Culley at this point. He said Deshaun was going to be there, and Deshaun is there.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today with Buck Rising.
We will be live out at St. Thomas Sports Park for Titans training camp. General Manager John Robinson will join us at 11:15. Will Compton, of course, in the noon hour. Don't miss a minute.
The Buck Rising Show. Today, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
but it's just not the year for Jameis to be starting. He's not starting with that team on the right footing, I don't think. There's just a lot of questions there.
John, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.
I believe Jameis could. Towel videos aside.
This is the other part, too. That same year, he threw 33 touchdowns.
30 interceptions, right?
30 interceptions. That's the only thing with Jameis. I've known people that's played with him. It's like he going to Jameis that thing up, man.
You never want to be an adjective. Or you never want to be a verb. I'm sorry. You don't want to be a verb.
He going to find a way to Jameis that thing up. Truth be told, Ryan Fitzpatrick does a little bit of the same thing, but he does it a lot less. He does it a lot less. He's real, and then Jameis threw 30 interceptions, y'all. Both, career highs.
And a lot of times, he was trying to make plays.
He was.
And he's one of those guys, I think, that believes his receivers can make every play.
Yep.
But I think he also believes he can make every play. And the truth is, eventually you learn you can't.
Yeah.
One of the things you can say about Aaron Rodgers, throwing it away is not a bad play.
No.
Aaron Rodgers may throw the football away more than anybody I've ever seen in the history of the NFL. That dude is taking a yacht to Canton.
Straight
it does
up.
not matter.
It don't matter.
We used to say the same daggone thing about Marcus.
Yeah.
Marcus is like, dude, throw it away. Don't take 9 sacks against the Ravens.
And you know why they do that?
Which is a thing that actually happened here in Nashville.
A little inside information on that. I learned this in like my last couple of years in the league. When it was like, why are they taking sacks? Running out of bounds. Like, it was cringy for offensive linemen to watch. Like, why did you give up that sack right there running out of bounds? Well, if they throw it away, it takes away from the pass completion percentage.
Here's a way you can think about it. This just came to me. Maybe this is
man.
not going to land as I try to make this land.
Go ahead, do your thing.
So we think about, and I always say that pro athletes in this country are the closest thing we have to actual superheroes. We're not seeing people with capes. But we're seeing guys that can do things that many of us can't.
Right.
So what's the one thing you know about virtually every superhero movie? They struggle for about 2/3 of it.
Get their butts.
It's not like Superman's dominating from start to finish in these movies. No. He's struggling. He's dealing with all this kind of stuff. And then at the end, he overcomes it. All that matters is you winning in the end. But Superman throws the football away from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Batman definitely throws the football away sometimes. Spider-Man throws the football away sometimes. Iron Man nearly lost his heart.
Straight up.
Had to get like that dude throws the football away. Jameis, you can throw it away, bro, because I'm telling you, you aren't Batman.
There are certain players on a roster for a reason. Punters, place kickers.
Mm-hmm.
Get the 3 or punt the ball off and let your defense make the play for you. Like, you got to get to a point where you understand the dynamics of field positioning. If you can kick it and back them up, that's a lot harder to go 80 yards or 95 yards, man. You know what I'm saying? And Jameis, like you said, Jameis, the one thing I think we can always give him credit for, he's probably one of the best competitors in all of football. He believes in himself.
Oh, I'm 1,000,000% agree with that.
But to your point,
and a lot of things he does, and it's weird because he makes these weird mistakes like eat the W and the crab legs and the videos he chooses to post of his workouts with the blocking dummies and the towel.
I'm strong if you strong after the national championship game.
I also kind of like Jameis.
I love Jameis.
I think Jameis is probably just a good, fun-loving dude.
Salt of the
I think
earth type of
sometimes
dude.
he just needs to get out of his own way.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yep.
I think his intentions and his motivations are usually good.
When Tampa had him on the when Tampa was on Hard Knocks that year, you remember Jameis was on there, man? You want to talk about some cringe-worthy content. When he was just
get the
using
camera
the
away from him, man.
When he just went to the side of the house to use the restroom, I was like, Jameis, I feel you, dog.
You're an NFL player, man. You can't be doing this.
But don't be. And I know you was at home. But see, that's Jameis, though. But to your point about, everything that's happening in New Orleans, I don't think it's going to be good. But Jameis is an ultimate competitor, man.
I just think it's a bad situation for him. And then there's should it be Taysom Hill? No.
You've been off that train.
No.
You ripped your ticket up.
No.
And they gave it to you for free.
No.
Okay, now on the other side of that context about Jameis, Tannehill does throw it away.
Yeah, he does.
But it's not the same recognition of the way Aaron Rodgers
Well, of
does.
course not. Of course, I mean,
I
I don't think
just
most people
gotta-
aren't talking about Aaron Rodgers throwing it away.
I got to just throw that out there.
But it's true.
You know?
He's never going to get the same credit Aaron Rodgers does, even for doing similar things.
Mm-hmm.
Never. Hour number 2 of the program coming up. David Beauclair, Sports Illustrated, joins us in the second segment. We'll jump back into some of the Titans headlines after we get some of the sports headlines off the top of the hour from Will Bowling. That's all next. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today on Blaine and Mickey.
We'll get a Titans training camp report from John Glennon of Broadway Sports after day 1 on the practice field.
And we continue our trip around the SEC, talking Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss with Nick Suss of the Clarion Ledger.
Today, starting at 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
The Zone.
From the WinBet studio, win with WinBet. WGFX Gallatin, Nashville. Get the very latest out of Titans training camp here on your home for Titans football. Trending now at 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning, I'm Will Bowling. Training camp practice number 1 in Nashville is today. You can hear live coverage of 2021 Titans training camp all day long here on The Zone, including the Buck Rising Show live from St. Thomas Sports Park, featuring Titans general manager John Robinson on the show today, coming up at 11:15 a.m. In Tokyo yesterday, superstar gymnast Simone Biles withdrew from team competition following one rotation, opening the door for the team of Russian athletes to win gold for the first time since 1992. But in the pool, another superstar earned her first gold medal of the games. Katie Ledecky bounced back to win the first ever gold medal in the women's 1,500 meter freestyle at the Olympics. It came about an hour after her 5th place finish in the 200 freestyle. In Major League Baseball, the Braves crushed the Mets 12-5 behind 2 Austin Riley home runs. That included a grand slam. Atlanta will throw ace Max Fried against New York tonight with a chance to pull within 3 games of the Mets' lead in the NL East and get back to 500 for the first time this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Now it's time for Jason Martin and Vol for Life Ramon Foster.
Powered by All 4 Seasons Garage Doors.
Together, they are JMart and Ramon on 104.5 The Zone.
I don't know what you're supposed to say here other than she's got to do what's right for her.
Yep.
If she trained as hard as she trained, worked as hard as she worked, had the God-given ability and certainly showcased it.
Yeah.
But if she's not where she feels like she needs to be mentally, she has to make the best decision for her. And the best decision for Simone Biles is there's more to life than a gold medal.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I don't know this. I don't know the situation. I'm not going to try to compare it to any other situation or any other people.
Right.
I'm just going to say, who am I to judge how she feels about herself when it comes to her mental health or just where she happens to be? Because to say that there's not a ton of pressure on Simone Biles would just be a flat lie.
It's a lie. That's a big time lie. I was watching last night, too, as they replayed the live version of what happened. She just wasn't right. She just wasn't right, man.
It's like her mind just wasn't there.
And mind you, I've heard people defending. I heard people attacking, too. The defense on it, I think, is way outweighs you attacking her. Because you got to think about what she's doing. She has no protection on her body. She's basically making herself vulnerable, going higher than everybody on the floor. I think even some of the men, she's higher than as far as her flips go. And the thing is, last night when the commentators, of course, the experts were breaking down, her stuff what she was supposed to do and what she did. And when one of the commentators last night, analysts, said this is where she threw her hands out because she lost where she was in the air. Imagine free falling, basically, is what she was doing.
With your head in the wrong place.
Pad or not, we've seen dudes in helmets take headshots and get knocked out. This girl is,
10 feet in
I
it? I worked in
don't
pro
know.
wrestling for 10 years. I've seen some real bad stuff.
Yeah.
I've been to the hospital with guys who landed on their necks, who landed on their heads. I've told the story about the shattered tibia and fibula, but, I mean, I've seen guys go for a moonsault and not make it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about landing on your head. She's not the biggest person in the world.
No.
As powerful and strong and athletic as she is, you just kind of have to back off on this one and say she's got to do what's right for her
On
this
this
situation.
Yeah, you call her soft all you want to. She got more gold medals than me, you, and everybody else that's listening on this thing too, Jay.
Yeah, her bona fides are unimpeachable.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
One critique I heard yesterday. I'm not sure. I saw it from a couple of different places, so I don't know where it actually germinated from. Is it okay to suggest? And I'm not saying that it is, and I'm not trying to suggest this. I'm curious. If this were a guy, would the response have been fair? Like, so Simone, we're all behind Simone, right?
Right.
And we should be. Shouldn't we be behind, for example, DeMar DeRozan if he were to do this? Because he was somebody that dealt with depression in the NBA. Or if Kevin Love had to back away.
He did, yeah.
Like, shouldn't we stop the idea that, well, you're a guy, so you got to get over this? That's one thing I saw yesterday, and I was just kind of like, I don't know how I feel because I know men are wired differently, and there's a lot of differences biologically and all of this. Would it have been the same reaction if it had been a male athlete making this same decision? I think the difference here is Simone Biles was the Patrick Mahomes, the Tom Brady of what she was doing. And I think as a result there, she had created so much equity with the people that it didn't matter. Like, I think she was going to do it because of her stature, maybe more than anything else. But I do think that it's harder for a guy. It's harder for a male athlete to make that decision, come out and say, I'm bailing, my mind is not where it needs to be.
Because men are supposed to be emotionless. You're supposed to be the brute. You're supposed to be the guy that leads the charge no matter what. I saw somebody, and I'm not sure if they're listening to us this morning, but I saw a thread, and Cousin Caden was in on it defending, Simone and whatnot. I forget what it exactly said, but it alluded to the fact somebody critiquing it saying Simone Biles is basically doing a situation where if the Titans were in the Super Bowl, they played all three quarters. Well, and Ryan Tannehill played all three quarters, and he sat out in the fourth quarter because he didn't want the pressure of finishing out the game. I just kind of think that's kind of unfair. That's not comparing apples to apples right there. That's making a situation that benefits your argument is what you're doing in that situation. We saw what it looked like Ben Simmons kind of go through that a little bit, whether it's his confidence or whether his mental block that he has on the court also. Guys go through it. It's just we've made it okay to suffer through that type of stuff. And I think sports is changing in a lot of different ways. I think the way coaches are viewing it, one of the things I heard from Vrabel's presser yesterday was this. And it kind of goes to the fact of where maybe, I ain't going to say he was alluding to it, he wished it had happened to him, but he's damn sure glad that he's doing it now. He said, I thought as a coach, all I had to do was just show up and get the guys to perform. He was like, man, I've gotten to a point to where I am investing in not just the football player, but the guys. I see growth in guys. He's like, that's something I didn't have when I was playing. And that's not exactly what he was saying, but he was saying the coaches that I had was more, you just are a product of what's on the field, and that's that. He's like, and it never registered to me that was a part of the job too. And now you have a coach like Vrabel, who we know to be a hard-nosed type of guy. He played the game a hard way, and he seems to coach it that way too. But he's alluding to the fact that, look, I got relationships with guys. I want to see them grow as men. I want to see how they're doing, the good and the bad times. That was part of his presser yesterday. And I think that's the way the sports world is in general. We're happy for these guys having these platforms. We're happy for these guys having voices. We're happy for these guys showing their charisma, their personalities in front of everybody now. But what we don't see is you should have seen some of the stuff that I received as an offensive lineman. I couldn't imagine Odell Beckham. I couldn't imagine Julio, Corey. Corey probably would have signed somewhere else, even if the Titans had offered him more, simply because I'm sure the stuff that he went through those first 3 years before having a
you talking about
good
what
year,
the people say to
yeah,
him, the comments and all that.
It can wreck you. It's been times where I've carried stuff said to me on Sunday to a practice on Wednesday, simply because I got to prove you wrong. But in the sense of if you're not built right, you know what I'm saying, one of those type of dudes, then it'll crush you.
Well, Moan, you know this before you got here, with everything that went down and how it went down last year. The first 3 or 4 weeks of me, when it was just me and Schaefer as we were waiting for you to arrive.
Yeah,
I almost quit.
I'm telling you,
I almost quit. I almost said, "Screw this. You guys want somebody else? Then get somebody else."
Yeah,
I don't need the kind of stuff that I was receiving at the time. Like, it definitely affected me. It showed me that I wasn't as strong as I thought I was, that I wasn't able to push all that stuff out the way that I thought I was. I think the one thing about the male-female argument is this. If I were Simone Biles but I were a man, I would not feel as comfortable to speak about that issue, valid or not,
right,
because of me, because of who I am.
Right.
It's like I was raised to be tough. I was raised to fight through that.
not show emotion.
And at times, that's been a really bad mistake.
It is.
As it was, not a story I'm going to tell on air, but my freshman year at NC State.
Yeah.
You know this now because I've told you guys. Some stuff went down with me where I should have confided in somebody and said, "Hey, I need some help here." And I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And it nearly cost me my life.
Yeah, it did. That was, but again, like you said, when it comes to a guy's perspective, Jay, you're not supposed to do that. And yes, we are. I feel like more people are more sympathetic with Simone than it was a guy. A real just life situation I went through, what we went through as a team, was the Chicago anthem situation, where Alejandro's was out in the stands and it looked like we were in the locker room, which the story of that is way
incorrect.
different.
Yeah.
It's very incorrect. But I saw a guy in Alejandro Villanueva who is a veteran. And I've told you some of the tours that he's done. And Cousin Andrew can attest to this because he's a veteran also. But hearing Al tell his stories of how he put his life on the line for Americans, and he is actually a Spanish guy. He's Hispanic, truth be told, okay? Alejandro Villanueva is his name. And he's actually gone to war. He wasn't in the kitchen somewhere. He wasn't pushing papers. He had to deliver that folded flag to families. And so he go from one part of that weekend of being a hero to where he come out and defend and say, hey, that situation wasn't exactly what it was. And you had people, man, sending him death threats, sending us death threats. And mind you, this guy had literally put his life on the line. Now, can you imagine the mental space, a guy like him who has sacrificed it all, lost friends, lost just his brother-in-law was in the service. Like, there's a lot of levels of this, and social media's made it to a point to where people can say and do anything they want to and not fully understand the situation.
I also think the other thing gets lost with social media. Life is not lived behind 280 characters.
No.
Context is lost. Emotion is lost. Meaning is lost. 280 characters is not the way to go through life.
No.
Text messages are not the way to go through life. And I think that, unfortunately, a lot of us are now living through that. The more you can get away from that, the more you can look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, know who they are, and let them know through your actions and emotions that you care about them as a human being, the better off we're all going to be.
Right.
When we come back, David Beauclair will join us. We will talk about what's happening as Titans camp is opening, what he thought of Mike Vrabel's comments yesterday. A good conversation always with Boki. That's coming up next. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
We love Titans football. Actually, it's close to borderline obsessive, and, well, we're okay with that. The Titans Station, 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's JMart. Have you thought about taking your career in the trades to the next level? You should consider working for Lee Company. Right now, they're hiring. They're hiring in a lot of different ways. Plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, handymen, all levels, all locations. Lee Company, 13 community offices all across Middle Tennessee, including Southern Kentucky and Northern Alabama. You can choose to work close to where you live, and then you can choose to work for an awesome, awesome company. I love that I get to tell you about Lee Company every day because they really are the real deal. free training through Lee Company University, and great benefits. So you get the benefits, and then if you need to be trained up, Lee Company University. If it's a skill you don't have, you can learn it, and they can put you to work. Now's the time to consider that big-time career change and do it for a positive company where the culture is thriving and where really the sky can be the limit for your future. I'm looking forward to seeing you in one of those Lee Company vans soon out in my neighborhood. I want you to go to leecompany.com/careers today. Give it a look. See what it is that you can do. Get that process started. Again, plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, handymen. If that's not you, but you think it could be you, still, leecompany.com/careers. I think it's a good decision for a lot of you this morning. If you're kind of, maybe you're on the fence. You're trying to figure out what it's going to look like for you in the future. The pandemic hit your job really hard last year. I promise you, Lee Company is a good place to work. leecompany.com/careers. Again, leecompany.com/careers.
Cisco Nashville is hiring CDL Class A delivery truck drivers. Cisco drivers have
First Horizon Park, Wednesday, August 5th. That's a week from today. 3HL is going to be broadcasting live from Third and Home. Moan's going to throw out the first pitch, and I went ahead and dug out my video of doing it a few years ago, so we'll be able to compare those after the fact. But Ramon's going to throw out the first pitch that night. We're going to be in the suite hanging out. So if you want to join the zone on zone night, fifth caller, 615-737-1045 to Andrew Malone. We'll get that done. And we now do welcome in at Beauclair Sports, our good friend David Beauclair of Sports Illustrated. Bokey, how are you this morning?
Morning, Bokey.
I am good, boys. How are you doing?
We're doing pretty well. So, Lion season is over because Aaron Rodgers has signed. Speculation season is over. Draft season is over. Now we get to football season. Does it feel like this is really the start of the year when you get to the first day of training camp?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, all the NFL offseason is interesting and compelling in a lot of different ways, but there's always, you know, there's always a feeling, even I get, you know, on the first day of training camp. I can't imagine what it's like for the players. You know, I would imagine it's the one day in training camp where you actually get up and you really feel good and you're excited and can't wait to get out there and get some things done. And particularly after what we went through last year, the sense of normalcy that is returning to the sports calendar here, I think is really fun, and it's going to make for an entertaining couple of weeks here.
So very early on, pretty much right off the top, as expected, the vaccine had to be discussed, had to be asked about. How do you assess Vrabel's response to that? It seemed pretty standard as to what you're going to hear across much of the league.
Yeah, you know, nobody wants to sort of shame their players who are not vaccinated at this point. And you know, there's obviously going to be some more talk today when we talk to some of the players, and particularly about the issue with forfeits and the memo that the NFL sent last week. And I almost feel like the NFL played its hand a little too quickly there. I mean, I get what they're doing, right? They want to protect their product being the games that are televised and getting people back in the stadiums to watch games this year. So they want those games to be played. They want them to be played as scheduled. But given what the protocols that they had already put in place, my sense is that there's going to be a number of guys who haven't gotten vaccinated, and they're going to get in the building, and they're going to be sitting, 6 feet away from their teammates, and they're not going to be visiting with anybody at lunch, and they're going to be stuck in the hotel room at night or whatever. And all of a sudden, after a day or two, they're going to decide, what, this stinks. I'm just going to go get the vaccine and get it done with. Because let's face it, most of these guys, all of these guys have spent virtually all their life playing a team sport and making sacrifices on behalf of the team. And even if they feel like this is a sacrifice, at a certain point, it's got to be a sacrifice worth making, I would think, for virtually all of them, if you want to feel like you're really a part of this team.
Yeah, that's going to be huge moving forward, and it's always going to be a conversation topic this year. We just hope everybody gets it together. But in general, Coach Vrabel yesterday spoke about guys showing up ready to go. If you were able to get your eyes on the guys' conditioning tests and just what's the first step in just making this team better, it seems like everybody's checked every box this year. Have we seen this in the past where it's just like, hey, this team is motivated more than ever, and I think this might be the year?
Well, I mean, rarely do coaches say, "Boy, we had several guys who looked terrible." I mean, the idea is you want to create a sense of optimism, but I will say this, we talked about it like back in February or so, early in the offseason. Mike Vrabel had several performances during the offseason where I don't think he did a lot to create optimism for what was to come. And he had sort of a sour demeanor about him throughout most of the offseason. He had a different sort of posture and a different sort of delivery and much more of a calm about him yesterday than he's had at any point that I've seen during the off season. So I think he legitimately did feel good about what he's seen in terms of the guys and the number of guys who showed up early Saturday, the way guys performed in their conditioning tests yesterday, and how engaged guys were in meetings and in the buildings and whatnot, or inside the building to that point. So that was sort of my takeaway. Less about what he actually said and more the way he said it.
Two guys he brought up yesterday, and they're two veteran guys, and they need big years. And truth be told, this offense may go as these two guys go. But he brought up Rodgers Sappho and Taylor Lewan, both the guys who had a little bit of injuries. Taylor definitely had an injury, and Sappho was in and out a little bit. Just how important is it for these two guys in particular to be healthy for the most part of this season? I think with a 17th game, there's a probability of them missing a game here or there. But in general, how important is it for these two guys to finish out this season?
Yeah, two guys who are not getting any younger. Two guys, though, who when they have played together, they played together for parts of 2 years now. Not a whole lot. You consider Lewan missed the first 4 games of 2019, and then missed a big chunk of last season with the knee injury. So they haven't played together a whole lot, but when they have played together, they've played together well, particularly late in 2019. And when you consider that you're going to be on your third different starting right tackle in as many different years. You've got Ben Jones, who's also not getting any younger at center. I mean, this is in a way this might be the last hurrah for this offensive line and those guys in particular. And I don't think there's any question that this is a better line, a better offense, a better team when Taylor Lewan in particular is healthy and doing the things that he's capable of doing.
Defensive side of the football, if you're able to get to the quarterback and if the secondary can hold up from a health standpoint, can this team win the Super Bowl?
I'm not ready to say that this team can win the Super Bowl. I think the Julio Jones trade got them very much back in the mix for winning the division, where you look at them and the Colts, and now it's a toss-up. I thought the Colts were the clear division favorite before that. I think when you look at the first part of this schedule and how challenging it is, and you think about the fact that Jason, you mentioned the secondary there, that the secondary is going to be finding its way through the first part of the season. It's there's a lot of things that have to work. There was a really interesting piece by Joe Banner, the former Philadelphia Eagles, Cleveland Browns exec, on a website called the 33rd Team. And he talked about the Titans last week as sort of the most overrated team in the league. And he said it, there's a lot of things to like, but almost everything that you like about this team comes with a question mark. And at the, you add them all up and it's too many question marks. Like he talked about Ryan Tannehill and Tannehill's injury history. He's not ready to get past that. He talked about Derrick Henry and the fact that there's no question he's an elite back, but all the touches he's had the last couple of years and the 2,000 yards, what kind of a decline is he in for? He talked about Julio Jones is said if the Titans get one good year out of him based on what he's seen the last couple, that he would feel really good about that. He talked about the secondary, said outside of Kevin Byard, he's not sold on anybody in that unit right now. And you've got Caleb Farley and Bud Dupree, who are both injured right now. You're talking about that's your number one draft pick and your highest priced free agent. I mean, there's a lot of things about this team that the chances of all of them working out exactly the way you want them to seem really, really slim. I mean, that'd be one hell of a parlay to play right there. And if they all work out, then I say that this team is this team's a Super Bowl contender. But I tend to think like Joe Banner does, that's a little too many questions at this point in the season to say, this is this is a team that just look out because they're coming.
Well, here's the thing that I look at. I don't believe in Carson Wentz. I look at the schedule for the Colts. It sucks. Like, it is a very, very tough schedule. And the question marks that you mentioned, just to push back a little and play devil's advocate, how many teams don't have a lot of question marks entering this season? The AFC is loaded, but outside of Kansas City, where the defense is going to be, again, kind of average, but the offense is the offense, Buffalo, who doesn't run it well, but they seem to do virtually everything else well, everybody else has got question marks. Baltimore's got Greg Roman. Cleveland's trying to figure out whether Baker Mayfield's the guy. Is Odell going to blow up that team in the wrong way? We already talked about the Colts. The Raiders are the Raiders. The Chargers seem to be very young, even though they're talented. The Steelers, are they even going to have a winning season this year? There's people that deem that they're not. The Patriots, they've got quarterback issues. Miami's got quarterback issues. So I look at Tennessee and I think to myself, I would ride with Tannehill, Henry, Julio, and A.J. Brown over a lot of other question marks. I feel like that creates a bigger margin for error than a lot of other teams have, because they should put up a lot of points, and I don't see a universe where they don't.
Exactly, and they're probably, I would think early on they're going to have to win some high scoring games, and the flip side of that too. I agree with pretty much everything you said there. That the big if is what happens if Ryan Tannehill gets hurt. There's a feeling they could fall off the cliff with just that one development if that happens. So it's a high wire act, to be sure. It's going to be really, really exciting, I think, out of the gate, to see just how many points A, this team can score, and B, how many points they're going to need to score to win games. But there's there's no question that the Julio Jones trade, I think, changed sort of the overall feeling, both outside and probably within that building. I would assume there's a better sense of belief in that building, just having made that move.
Bulky, we're in a different world, just in general, from the way we walk outside now to the way we do every single thing. One thing that's been coming up lately has just been the mental health of athletes. Kind of heard Vrabel in his presser yesterday kind of bring up the fact that, when he played, there wasn't a relationship to be had with his coaches. I kind of brought this up a second ago before you came on, but there wasn't a relationship with the coaches that he was coached by. There was more of a worker-employer type of relationship, and how he's found himself diving in and getting a chance to know his guys, wanting them to talk about their good times and their bad times, their kids, and how he's become invested. Simone Biles' situations kind of raised a lot of eyebrows about, high athletes pulling out of events. You think Vrabel and his relationship building with his guys is getting to a point to where he can have those type of conversations with the team?
Well, I think so. And, we saw it last year after George Floyd and whatnot, where he was willing to shut down the normal business day and say, hey, let's talk about things. And I remember him referencing, Jonathan Joseph talking about, his son being of driving age and wanting to get his windows tinted. And Jonathan Joseph saying, telling his son why he didn't think it was a good idea for a young black man to have his windows tinted. And Mike Vrabel saying when Joseph was telling that story that, I thought, I've got two sons who are driving age and I've never even imagine having that sort of conversation with my son. He's always been, I think Mike Vrabel has always been open to that sort of relationship with his players. And I think, I also think Mike Vrabel, more so than virtually any head coach I've ever worked with, I think he is prone to self-analysis and a lot of guys, when they get to that position, they feel like, okay, I've done what I needed to do. I've arrived. Now I'm going to go do my thing. Mike Vrabel sort of, I get the sense that he steps back after every season and says, what did I do well? What did I not do well? What do I might want to do differently and why? And it sounds like, this is based on all that kind of they went through last year, and maybe the certain sense of detachment that you had from the players. A lot of ways that he feels that's more important to his job than it was even the first 3 years.
One final one here before we let you go, Bucky. Who outside of Julio Jones are your eyeballs going to be focused on most as you watch the next few weeks of camp?
Well, I think that Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown, all those guys are really interesting, and you always want to see what they're doing and how they're going. But to me, training camp is more about watching where guys are starting to fall in the rotation. I want to see how the two backup quarterbacks are used, and if it looks like one is better than the other. I want to look at the wide receiver group behind Josh Reynolds and see who's playing in the slot first, and who looks to be fifth and sixth on the rotation there. I want to see what Christian Fulton's doing. Is he playing multiple positions, the slot and outside, or is he strictly a slot guy, or is he strictly outside? Is Elijah Molden, is he going to be a guy playing in the slot and playing some safety stuff, or are they giving him one thing at a time? Dylan Radins was a guy who was all over the place during mini camp and OTAs. Are they gonna plug him into a position now and let him settle down? It's all sort of the more of the depth things and how the roster is shaping up that becomes really interesting to me, particularly during the middle part of training camp.
Always good stuff, Boki. We look forward to chatting with you as we get closer, and certainly start actually playing some football here in a few weeks also.
All right, boys, anytime. You guys have a good day.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. It's David Beauclair at Beauclair Sports. Read his stuff at Sports Illustrated.
That was football talk, right?
It was, and that was refreshing. I think there's more to talk about when it comes down to can they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that's going to be addressed a lot in the coming weeks. If you were on the line in the first segment when we were talking about Simone Biles and mental health and some of those issues, and you wanted to comment, now's the opportunity. 615-737-1045. I know Mr. Caples, I think, because Mike also wanted to chime in.
Was on.
There were several people on there. So go ahead and give us a call, 615-737-1045. We will jump back to your phones when we come back. We've got guests in the top of the third hour, and then we've got Rep Brian for the rest of the third hour as well. So it's going to get busy. So now's the opportunity. We'll be right back. It's JMart Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Buck breaks down Ryan Tannehill.
Anybody can box score Ryan Tannehill and say Ryan Tannehill of Miami is not the Ryan Tannehill of Tennessee. But you do have to take the time to see what impact people around him have had on what it is that he's asked to do, is execute at an extremely efficient level.
The Buck Rising Show. This morning starting at 10 on 104.5 The Zone.
Mortgage interest rates are still sitting at an all-time low level, but they are starting to tick up. So if you've been sitting on the fence to get a refi, or if you haven't gotten your pre-approved home loan locked in, now is the time. Quit waiting for a lower rate, as they won't stick around for much longer. And the interest rates right now are sitting in the low 2%, which means by refinancing your 30-year mortgage, the home loan expert can save you hundreds of dollars a month. And this past year has been tough for a lot of different reasons. So saving that cash is a big deal for us, all right? And your home, though, is your biggest asset. And with the home equity so high right now, it is the perfect time to do a cash-out refi. They can lower your monthly payments, give you cash to pay off debt, and have you skip a few mortgage payments. That's how you crush 2021 right there with a little less worry. So if you've been sitting at home looking at housing, watching the housing market, you know these homes in this area are selling very, very fast. So getting pre-approved is key to finding your dream home. At thehomeloanexpert.com, they can lock in your interest rate, project your payments, and get you pre-qualified. So when you find that right home, you can submit that offer and close on your dream home. Thehomeloanexpert.com are doing more home loans than ever and closing purchases in less than 30 days, so don't wait. Visit thehomeloanexpert.com.
Cisco Nashville is hiring CDL Class A delivery truck drivers.
taking just shrapnel from Titans fans left and right. So if you just want to go, throw a baseball and try to dunk somebody, you have the opportunity. So Zach Bunch, as usual, it's Titans versus Colts in the YouTube chat. And Tower, who listens to the station religiously most all day long, says, hey, Zach, I believe there's a meteor shower tonight. You can wish upon a star on Wentz.
Hey, man. Football season is here, man.
And then Zach Bunch came back strong and said, I don't need any wishes. I can see a ring around the planet. You're 1 yard short from that planet, Matt.
Ooh.
So that's what we're seeing back and forth right now on that. And as we go there, we'll take some phone calls. 615-737-1045. Let us get first to Cousin Paxton, who woke up with Titans on his mind, but I think he has some other things to talk about. What's going on, Paxton?
What's up, Pax?
What's going on, guys? And y'all have to forgive me. I'm a little under the weather, so we'll stop.
I hate to hear that, brother.
Yeah, me too, man. So, summer colds are definitely not fun.
No,
So, y'all had a very powerful topic that y'all were talking about, and I really hope that we can talk more about this, especially as a man, because men tend to suffer in silence, man. Mental health-wise, men just don't believe. And I think, JMart, you alluded to this when you said you were raised to be a strong, strong-minded person and to basically not have emotion. Mm-hmm. So it's really important for us as men. So I can only speak to my experience, and I definitely have a lot of empathy for what Simone Biles is going through, what Kevin Love went through, what a lot of athletes are going through. As a police officer, you all know I'm a proud police officer. And just some of the things that we see on a day-to-day basis, man, it's really important for us to have that outlet to be able to talk about our emotions and talk about the things that we see and talk about what we feel. So I'm really loving this discussion, guys. I can't wait to hear some of the fam stories and how strong these guys are, man. And cousins and aunties, man. Y'all call in and talk about this. It's extremely important, guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I got, man. I'll just hang up and listen to you guys, man. Love the show. Y'all know I'm a big fan. Cuzzo Mike, man. I can't wait to hear what you got to say, boss. Y'all have a good one.
Appreciate it, brother.
Appreciate it.
Let's go to Caples next, and then we'll get to Mike. Caples, what's going on?
Okay.
Caples, you with us, or did you get sniped?
Yep. There we go.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm going to sit on my hands, man. You go ahead.
Hey, hey, man. This topic means a whole lot to me. I was diagnosed with depression in 2014. The whole suicidal thing, and actually met somebody by chance who taught me that for men reaching out to get help is not something to be looked at upon as weak. It's something to look at as to save your life, because you'd rather be here and get help than to just give up and not be here. So I always try to be an advocate of mental health for the fellas, even for females, but fellas mostly, because of course we taught to be tough and not let things get to you. So I'm glad that somebody reached out to me enough to keep me here, and I try to do the same thing for other men. And JMart, I just wanted to tell you something, man. Before you got on this, got in the morning time, I remember you used to be like on the zone at like 6 in the afternoons and stuff like that. And the reason why I kind of gravitated toward liking you as a person and as a radio person is because you always had personal things on your Twitter, like Bible verses and encouraging words. So for you to be on every morning, I appreciate that, man. I just wanted to let you know. And Ramon, you already know what's up, man.
Absolutely.
Nothing but love for you, bro. So, I just wanted to end this by saying, any man that's out there listening, man, you got problems, mental health problems, man, don't be afraid to talk to somebody. Don't be afraid to reach out. It's the difference between being here and not being here. And I'm going to hang up. Love you guys.
Yeah, you too, Caples. I appreciate you. Appreciate you a lot. We're up against it, and we got guests at the top of the hour. Mike, I know you're on the line.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you short and give you 30 seconds. So I know you're hearing this right now. Can you call us back at the start of the 4th hour of this show? If you're still listening, can you call us at 9 this morning? And if you're listening to me right now, I'll say this too. You sent me a private message over the weekend. I just want to say that made my weekend. There were several people that replied to what I posted on Saturday, which I just felt kind of compelled to put back out there from last year, and it spoke to a lot of you in a way where I realized all of a sudden why I felt compelled to post that, because there were a couple people that needed to see that this weekend. But Mike, you made my weekend. It was a true blessing to read that message. That's just a little private thing with me and Mike there, but just what he's been able to overcome, and just the fact that maybe the Lord used me to help in some way. That means more to me than any success I could ever have otherwise on the radio. When we come back, Matt Mosley is going to join us from Texas. We're going to talk a little SEC expansion, maybe a little Cowboys as well. Rep Brian is in the building, so we're going to have him pop in a little bit later as well. And then, because, like I said, I apologize. I just don't want to cut you short, brother. We'll come back. We'll do 2 more hours of radio. Hopefully you'll be with us. We love you guys. We'll be right back. It's JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today on Blaine and Mickey.
We'll get a Titans training camp report from John Glennon of Broadway Sports after day 1 on the practice field.
And we continue our trip around the SEC, talking Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss with Nick Suss of the Clarion Ledger.
Today, starting at 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, as a first-time home buyer, applying for that first home loan can seem like a really daunting task. There is a whole lot that goes into it, and there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of lack of sleep. You're hoping you can get there, get to that closing table. Maybe you can get it at the rate that you want. Are you being taken care of properly by your people? You don't have to worry. Mortgage Investors Group will be here for you every single step of the way. I want you to get ahead of all the other buyers that are looking for the same home in the same neighborhood, same school district, with the same amenities that you are. And the way you do that is by getting pre-qualified before you ever even start looking. Pre-qualification gives you the bargaining power that you want. It's going to help you close quicker. If you get pre-qualified, you will get moving, especially with Mortgage Investors Group, who is committed to helping Tennesseans just like you and your family fulfill those dreams of home ownership. Their mortgage experts will find and structure the mortgage that best fits your needs, best achieves your goals. Mortgage Investors Group wants to be your home loan lender. So I want you to let them go to work for you. Take the stress off your plate. There's an office near you, by the way, also. Somewhere close to you, there's an office. Hendersonville, they got you. Brentwood, Cool Springs. Go to migonline.com right now. Find out where the office nearest you is and get that pre-qualification process started. Learn all that you need to get ahead right now. migonline.com or text MIG to 31399. That's MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. And as I just said, if you get pre-qualified, you'll get moving. And I want to see you get moving with Mortgage Investors Group. Equal housing lender, license number 109111.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports.
WGFX Gallatin, Nashville. Get the very latest out of Titans training camp here on your home for Titans football. Trending now at 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning, I'm Will Bowling. Training camp practice number 1 in Nashville is today. You can hear live coverage of 2021 Titans training camp all day long here on The Zone, including the Buck Rising Show live from St. Thomas Sports Park, featuring Titans general manager John Robinson on the show today, coming up at 11:15 a.m. In Tokyo yesterday, superstar gymnast Simone Biles withdrew from team competition following one rotation, opening the door for the team of Russian athletes to win gold for the first time since 1992. But in the pool, another superstar earned her first gold medal of the games. Katie Ledecky bounced back to win the first ever gold medal in the women's 1,500 meter freestyle at the Olympics. It came about an hour after her 5th place finish in the 200 freestyle. In Major League Baseball, the Braves crushed the Mets 12-5 behind 2 Austin Riley home runs. That included a grand slam. Atlanta will throw ace Max Fried against New York tonight, with a chance to pull within 3 games of the Mets' lead in the NL East and get back to 500 for the first time this season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
Now it's time for Jason Martin and Ball for Life Ramon Foster.
Powered by all 4 Seasons Garage Doors.
Together, they are JMart and Ramon on 104.5 The Zone.
I'm actually back on Fox Sunday afternoon, I think. So I'll miss you on that run. I think you and I did some early morning radio together. But yes, it'll be Sunday afternoon prime listening from noon to 4, I believe.
Yeah, you people that host not in the morning, you guys live a different life than the rest of us do here in the mornings. But hey, man, look, football season's here. We might mention a little Cowboys here at the end, but big reason I wanted to have you on is just with the SEC expansion. That's been the topic that's dominated us for the last week since we heard about it at Media Days last week, and then in the statement that was put out yesterday. You're a Baylor alum, so I want to get that side of it too, but one thing I noticed on your Twitter feed, at Matt Mosley, by the way, is Texas is really the villain here. Like, Texas is the one that is seen as the villain. How big a part of this is OU? Because I don't see anything sticking to Oklahoma, but people are coming after the Longhorns.
Well, you almost have to go back a decade ago, and Oklahoma tried to make a move on their own, and they kind of got swatted back down. And, basically they were told, hey, you can't do anything without Texas. So Texas, we in this part of the country, we just know who's driving the bus, whose idea it was originally, and, they weren't just going to go the one of them. It made sense to take the other one. But the reason you're seeing so much of the backlash on University of Texas is just because this is who they are. The conference, basically, the Big 12 was saved based on Texas getting everything they wanted, the Longhorn Network at ESPN and all of those things, and it still wasn't enough for them.
and so now they will go join the mighty SEC, and y'all's part of the country. And I think the Sooners just felt like, you know what, we have to do this. Like, there's no other choice. So that's why, you know, the blame almost completely goes on Texas. Not that Oklahoma's not blameless, and it may end up being a fine decision. I would just say be careful when you're like Oklahoma and you have a decade of dominance or a decade of more of dominance in a conference, and things are going incredibly well for you, and now you're joining you know, a much, much more competitive conference. I think they'll do okay, but I think they'll miss some of that dominance that they've enjoyed.
Do you think it's a good decision as a whole? And then past that, like I said, as a Baylor alum and somebody that's just tight in that entire community, Matt, what happens to the Big 12, and how do the rest of you guys feel with what's likely coming sooner rather than later?
Well, it's chaotic, and I think there's a lot of emotions. We would like to. I mean, I think the sort of get back at everybody part of you is the you hold their feet to the fire, and you guys have seen some of these numbers. They would owe $80 million apiece. To break this contract and leave early. This thing goes through like 2024, 25. So what they're hoping is that the whole thing implodes. So it's a time of great uncertainty. The one thing I'll say for Baylor is I'm glad if it was going to happen, it's better to happen now than like 10 years ago or even a few years ago, Baylor winning a national title in basketball. Great at a lot of the sports 2 years ago in the Sugar Bowl and football, but obviously had a down year in Dave Aranda's first year. So, but I still think they're positioned as well as they can be to end up in a hopefully a decent place. What does that mean? It could be. I mean, I'm fascinated. It right now it seems like this new commissioner of the Pac-12 is pretty proactive. The other thing I would say is what the Big 12 ought to do, and right now it's reeling, and I don't think they're having trouble finding their footing. They ought to fire their commissioner this morning, and he, you know, for better or for worse, he is sort of the face of them getting blindsided, and that may not be fair, but you need different leadership. So if you guys have any good names for me, I'd like to submit that, and I'd like to have somebody new in place by this afternoon.
To that point, you know, about, you know, the way they've handled this, and OU and Texas are the two teams ahead of everything about getting to the SEC or changing conferences or imploding the Big 12, whatever the case may be. The question I got for you is this a bit of a distraction when it comes down to the players and the on-field, just getting to the games, getting through games? Because I got a feeling there's going to be some chippiness, some slander, a lot of stuff going on in between the white lines on Saturdays.
Yeah, I think in all reality, this is probably going to be the final season for Texas and OU to be in the conference. Ramon, I think you bring up an interesting point. I mean, I think it could get kind of ugly, not only with the players but with the fans this season. There's already plenty of rivalries within the conference and bad blood. You don't want to see what it looks like in Lubbock, Texas. And I haven't looked that closely at the schedule to see where everybody's going, but a night game in Lubbock, Texas could get scary. And I think there's certainly going to be some on the field ramifications. I mean, they'll all have to go out and play, but I mean, I think the 8 leftovers, the hateful 8, whatever we call them, are going to be extremely. I don't know. This is going to be a lot of bad blood, and it'll happen in the stands. And I don't think, there's been all this talk and jokes about penalizing people for doing the horns down and the punishment for that, I think fellas, that punishment goes away.
Yeah, I know what you want to say, and we're trying to keep it clean, but this won't be a clean year for either one of these teams is how I see it.
No, and I think you're right, and I think the funny thing about Texas is that, you know, and people have made some good points. There's almost this thought that, hey, even though we haven't done that well in this conference, 3 championships in 25 years, that in a stronger conference we'll be better. Boy, that's a weird way of thinking. If you can't compete in a less competitive conference, then you're going to go in a time when when you almost never get breaks. I mean, I don't know. All I can say is enjoy them. Enjoy these Longhorns. We've had a lot of them over the years. Have a fun time with them. I mean, I'm sort of, there's part of me that's sad about this because we love beating them, but there's also part of me that says, if you want to go get your brains beat in the SEC, have at it, okay? And we'll sit back and watch, and those TV ratings will be probably pretty good in Big 12 country.
Matt, one more. Is there a school in the country, an entity in the country, that feels better about themselves and has accomplished less than Texas, especially when it comes to the football program?
I mean, that's a leading question.
Yeah, it is.
A leading question I like. It really, the sense of entitlement is kind of scary, but they're caught up in their brand, and it is a huge college football brand, but for whatever reason, they have not been able to put it together. And can you imagine? I mean, it's like you bring in Sarkisian, and you already have a big task in front of you to try to get this program going, because they fire a coach every 3 years now. And then it's like, oh, coach, by the way, we're going over here to the SEC.
Yeah.
So they will expect to, win immediately. They'll fire him if he, within 2 years if they don't win. So no, it is a delusional fan base, and I almost kind of hate it for Oklahoma that they got pulled into this. I think there's parts of all these these 2 fan bases right now are kind of excited, and this sounds like a lot of fun. Let's talk in 2 or 3 years and see what it looks like.
Good stuff, Matt. We didn't even get to the Cowboys, so we'll have you back on in a couple of weeks to preview that season. But some good quotable lines from you right there. We have one of the listeners says you sound like a jaded ex. I'm like, I bet most of the Big 12 feels that way about how Texas has treated them. We appreciate you getting up a little bit earlier, Matt, and all the best. We look forward to talking to you again soon.
Okay, guys, we'll talk to you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Matt Mosley.
Also.
They'll fire him in 2 years.
I love how he just tried to play. Like, no, they're going to play this clean. It's like,
they're not.
It's going to be ugly.
Grand opening? Grand closing. When we come back, Rhett Bryant of Titans Radio. What's coming up at training camp? And Mike Sando's quarterback tiers annual article is out. Where does Tannehill rank, and what do some of the executives have to say specifically about 17? Here we go. Be right back. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Coming up today with Buck Rising.
We will be live out at St. Thomas Sports Park for Titans training camp. General Manager John Robinson will join us at 11:15. Will Compton, of course, in the noon hour. Don't miss a minute.
The Buck Rising Show. Today, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Ramon Foster. Have you ever heard somebody say, well, that's the way we've always done things? Well, let me tell you, that's kind of annoying to me and you. But I'll tell you somebody who's changed up the way they do things, and that is Open Door. They've invented a whole new way to sell your home without the hassles of listings, showings, and all the unknowns that seem to pop up. You can be among the hundreds of thousands of people who have already made the change to Open Door and have requested their offer. Go to opendoor.com, enter your address, tell Open Door about your home, and they will make a competitive offer in just a few minutes. A real offer, too. No playing around, all right? No prep work, no repairs, no showings, no hassle. I've been to the website and have experienced just how easy it all is to use. Get your free offer at opendoor.com/myoffer. That's opendoor.com/myoffer. And offer eligibility varies, and Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., license 02061130 in California, Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and its other markets.
Prices are much higher than they were just a year ago. Some may even tell you now is not the time to buy a vehicle. But at Music City Autoplex, they have
6 o'clock.
Stop it, Rhett. That's Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio. He's extra jubilant today because footballs are going to be in the air and in people's hands.
Yes.
Things like that here.
Running against the wind.
Yeah.
And look,
Indeed.
it's like the first day of school, but I think you guys could understand and pick up on that vibe from Coach Mike Vrabel's presser yesterday at 11:30. I've never seen him so glad to see any of us, but we haven't seen him in person at a presser in a year and a half. So
He'll get over it quick.
Oh, that'll end today. Listen, it will. Yeah, not 9:30. That'll be. Yeah, it's done.
Yesterday was fun, but
yeah, but no, there's just the few people I did see. There's just this vibe of like, hey, it's time to go. This is so much fun. And you know, as I'm walking to the podium, to the back side of the building, all of the training room garage doors are up, and there's Taylor Lewan, who just, it's like, God, come here, man, let me sit. I'm like, okay, Taylor, cool. It's good to see you. But he's so ready to get back on the football field. You can tell. And not on a PUP list, none of that stuff. It's full tilt boogie. Now, you know, we'll see how Mike Vrabel, Todd Torricelli, and this training staff gets him in and out, and, you know, work management, you know, snap counts, whatever you want to call it. But he is so ready to get back out there with his teammates. We discussed his new sweet ride that his whip he had parked under the new parking garage, this early 70s F-100 Ranger truck that is mighty nice, because I had noticed it the other day when I was over there. But there's a good vibe there.
It is. I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm sure you got to eyeball a few of the guys that were there because you got that type of access, Rhett. Anybody else that looked the part was like, yeah, I heard Vrabel in his presser mention a couple guys. He said Ferguson looks different. He said Tierra Tart looks different. I'm sure Jeff is coming in. Guys worked this year. When you have that type of team, this type of coaching staff with a great mindset, you see differences in players. Like I said, the dead period is like a purgatory of what's actually going on. You don't know. But it was good to hear him say, with some of these young guys like Tart and like Ferguson, like they looked different. They looked better. They looked like they're ready to go.
Well, and to your point, they need Tierra Tart to be looking different and ready to go on that defensive line, because we know Big Jeff's going to be there.
100%.
Past him and Danico Autry subbing in and out of there or coming as an outside linebacker. You know, there's Tierra Tart, Laurel Murchison.
Yeah.
You know, go down the line. They need a guy like that to be big and nasty and show more of what he did last year as an undrafted to go with that. Same thing with Laurel Murchison, who was a fifth-round pick last year. And we certainly need not only for him to look the part, to be different, look different, act different, if Anthony Ferguson is TE1.
Man.
We got to have that.
Man.
So,
yeah,
you know, that's 100% with the eye test on that stuff.
Okay, the eye test.
And I'll tell you who still looks the part. He just like he's morphed into this superhero. Is number 22.
That's who I was asking about, really.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Gosh.
You don't say. He's in shape and ready to play football.
But it's even more, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, did you see that last video that dropped? Did you notice? What did you notice out of that video?
What did I notice? Him catching the ball.
Bingo. Several clips of that.
Him catching the ball.
Bingo.
Yep. I saw it. I was like, you threw this in here for a reason.
He absolutely did. He's been working on that every year. He's been in the league. That's been a point of emphasis for him. And I just, I think that's an interesting dynamic. When you got, 11, number 2, Ferguson, got Josh Reynolds in this whole thing. He could be a problem for somebody.
Before we even get to that point, let's just throw this projection out there. 300 yards catching, 1,400 rushing. Still a solid year? Because from 2,000 to 1,400 is what everybody's going to look at.
Well, sure. But, yeah. And now, how else is that framed? Is it 12 wins? Is it 13 wins? Is it a division crown? Is it, a prolific passing game to go with it now that you have Julio in the mix? How is that framed? That's what you want to know. Because, if you look at that and go, okay, well, that's a drop-off, but that's still a good year. Anyway you dice it. 1,700 yards from scrimmage for a dude as big as he is? Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay.
How do you feel like Vrabel navigated the lingering vaccine question that every coach in the league has to address right now.
I think he did well. He and John Robinson both do a great job of kind of acquiescing through questions like that. And look, for obvious, HIPAA violation type of thing, he can't dwell or really give you a number on who is, vaccinated, who's not in percentages, although I'm sure he knows that information. I think the important thing that he's got on his mind is making sure that the unvaccinated players are following the protocols. And you saw there was new protocol memos put out last night to clubs from the National Football League in terms of fines and those things. So that's something he will have to, probably was up last night or early this morning, getting ready to apply those and have that ready in terms of the new protocols. But the other part is, and that's what he's so good at. And that's what I'm interested to see, not only just from the vaccine part of it and who's vaccinated and who's not, but just how he handles practices, snap counts, workloads, load management, whatever you want to call it, now that you have a 3 preseason game preseason and a 17-game regular season schedule. Because I think you're going to see practices where you don't see A.J. Brown and Julio Jones at the same practice. You don't see as much a Derrick Henry or maybe, there's going to be maintenance days for all of these guys, especially a Lawan or a Roger
Got to be low management. Low management.
And I think
has to happen.
And that was one thing that Coach Vrabel mentioned yesterday is that, yes, you have that plan in place, but you have to be willing to have some flexibility with that in terms of, okay, this is a thing that's popped up. We need to make sure we take, just be able to maneuver through that and to, shift on the fly, so to speak.
One piece of breaking news, I don't know how big it really is long term, but Lamar Jackson is out indefinitely with COVID issues. That happening this morning, so he's not going to be able to practice. They're going through the process. He's tested positive for COVID-19. Okay. Now, who knows whether it's asymptomatic or anything else, but it's just a piece of news that came out. And we're going to continue to see this trickle.
Well, and let me underline it with something personal. I talked to my mom on the way home yesterday. My mom and my dad, in fact, a good chunk of my family got COVID right at Christmas last year. And my mom, when she went into her health portal to talk about, up things with her doctor, that's why you can just check on your medical chart.
Yeah.
The doctor says she has post-COVID-19 syndrome with lingering symptoms. There are things she's gotten her taste of, sense of smell and taste back.
Yeah.
But there's some lingering things that she's wondered about, and now they have labeled it as such. So that is what you could be dealing with some things like that with a Lamar Jackson. We don't know, obviously, but this thing, whether you had it, whether obviously if you got it, it affects people differently. I still say that's what happened to Myles Garrett last year. Did you see how winded he was during games after he, got back on the field from it? I think it really, and that's saying something for a monster like him.
He's an old guy, right?
Huh?
He's an old guy, right? No, he's young.
He's
the point I'm making is it affects everybody.
He's like 25 years old.
That's
right?
that was the point I was
making. You mentioned
making.
Christmas. My mother and father-in-law got it right at Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's when we found out. And it took them about a month.
Yeah, it was a long haul for my family and all of this.
So, Lamar's obviously younger and top-flight athlete and all that kind of thing. But, you don't know if you're the one that draws the short straw.
You're not impervious. Right. That's the thing. It does not discriminate. It can do anybody, male, female, whatever, pro athlete, non-pro athlete. And it affects people differently because we are all differently genetically made up.
Another guy that we kind of scathed over a little bit. I don't know if we talked about him enough, Rat. And that's Ben Jones, man. Here's a guy, was it 10, 11 years right now at this point? 143 games played, 122 starts. A lot of wear on him, man. But he's still young. These guys are different. They train all year long now. He's been a reliable source here for this Tennessee Titans team. Just how big of a year does he have to have? Let's be completely honest about this. His relationship with Tannehill, that quarterback-center relationship is huge. It's big. He knows how he needs the ball, when he needs the ball, the snap count, and the depth behind him is something that's got to be worked out in camp. But Ben plays a big part this year, and I don't know if we talked enough about that.
he's crucial to this.
Yeah.
Because of the things you've outlined. And, yeah, he's 30, 31 now.
32, I think, is what they have him.
All right.
Yeah.
And, you know, he had some moments where he was dinged up and came out for a series or a snap or two.
Right.
And so, you know, I'm sure he's gone through some things this offseason to make sure that he can, you know, continue to be available, the most valuable thing. But, yeah, you know, you've got the young cats on the right side of this line. If we say that Dylan Radins either is or is going to be the right tackle of this thing, Nate Davis may be the best young right guard in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, he's rising towards that. And then you got the over-the-hill gang at center going left here. Everybody's over 30, right? Yeah, he's got to be an integral part of this thing.
Speaking of over-the-hill gang, Randall Cobb to the Packers is now official.
It's official?
That was an actual caveat that Aaron Rodgers wanted. I thought it was a joke.
It's good
Everybody
to be
did
loved.
until it got confirmed.
I mean, because it was one of the other Texans wide receivers tweeted about it yesterday. Kiki QT or one of those guys. I can't remember who, but I'm like, golly. Hey, listen, you're going to kiss the ring.
This has been the name. This is definitely.
Yeah, I want the GM's parking spot and I want a bag of donuts.
What?
You know, it's like, and that's nothing against Randall Cobb.
Yeah,
Randall Cobb is not Randall Cobb of 5 years ago.
Dumbest thing I've seen all day so far. And there have been some dumb things I've seen already today. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst says Aaron Rodgers has the same say in personnel he's always had. Quote, he's earned a place at the table, unquote. Says part of the process this offseason has been figuring out how to incorporate that.
What does that mean?
Figuring out how to incorporate his opinion.
Hey, listen, and while you're at it, Ramon, I want Dorsey Levens.
Yeah.
I want Donald Driver.
James Jones coming out of retirement.
I want James Jones out of retirement. That's right. Yes, absolutely.
John Kuhn is doing radio, I think, now in Green Bay.
Yeah, I need him back at fullback. Let's have him on jumbo packages. You know, what?
This Jordy Nelson. Where
Can
is
we
he
get
at?
Ha-Ha Clinton Dix back?
Where's Jordy and
Hey,
Ha-Ha?
I know. Hey, listen.
Jordy Nelson, exactly.
Hey, you know, and
Wow.
I'll just give one caveat here to the defense. By the way, Brian Gutekunst, you know what? I know he's going in the Hall of Fame this year, but let's get Charles Woodson back there in the secondary. I mean, what is this? Honestly, I'm serious, you guys. He is showing sociopathic behavior.
Yeah.
He's a sociopath. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfect. Has to be exactly the way that he
know
wants it. So let's go get Randall Cobb.
Yeah. Talk about it should be random Cobb.
Now he just put in all caps, I'm coming home. Randall Cobb did. So I know this is good for him, and I know him and Aaron Rodgers are close friends.
Wow.
Dude, man, there are friends that I don't need on my team.
It's good to be wanted.
Well, like I said, this might as well be random Cobb because that is the most random thing ever out of it. Oh, and by the way, I want Randall Cobb back.
Like I'm sure there's
So
people,
make it happen.
I'm sure there's people that Moan loves in the league, but he's like, man, you look great in that Arizona Cardinals uniform, bro. I'll see you in the offseason.
Yeah. Hey, let's trade jerseys if we play. See ya.
Like Ben called me yesterday, but it wasn't about him on you want to come back. Like, can you imagine like
Yeah, cousin Danny, AJ Hawk, he says this on YouTube. AJ Hawk just seen on a flight to Green Bay.
You might have something to carry into the 9 o'clock hour now with this. We might have started something. Listen,
imagine that power, though.
Hey, I'm going to need the Magic Man, Don Mikowski. I'm going to need him as my backup. So go ahead and sign that up, Brian. Let's make that happen.
Fellas, I've seen like people like, hey, it'd be good if we signed him back in the offseason. Like guys already on the team under contract or like getting an extension. Like I've heard of people say like, man, hey, y'all need to go ahead and get this deal done. This will be good for our team. But I've never heard of a player saying, go get this player from a totally different team and cut somebody else in the meantime. Like, I've never seen that. You know, I'm sure Tannehill's been in that position as a reason, be like, hey, it'd be good if we go ahead and lock this guy down. Or somebody's made that call, whether it's Taylor Lewan, whether it's –
But at the end of the day, John Robinson is the man that controls the 53. It is not questioned.
No, absolutely
That is the end of the sentence,
and
end of the story.
I'm creating a difference on what's happening right here. Like –
you've set if you're Brian Gutekunst, the general manager of the Green Bay Packers, you have set a dangerous precedent right here.
If you're powerful enough, you can do whatever the heck you – well, at least in Green Bay.
I mean, what a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
I did not know that, John Bobbitt was the GM in Green Bay.
Hey.
You mean John Wayne, Bob?
Yeah.
the same, one and the same.
Yeah.
Man, this is A-Rod, you a cold piece of work, man. He just is. Like, he walked in there, he did this whole off season. This light work for me, y'all. Watch me work. And the way he walked in with his flops on, the sunglasses, he was bouncing as he was going. I was like, I ain't missed nothing.
Dude, 2-3 days ago, Shailene Woodley was liking and posting Stephen A. Smith's takedown of the Packers. And her mother was. That's his fiance. 2-3 days later,
I'm back.
Aaron Rodgers is Caillou.
This is the
with a lot more hair. Yes,
a lot more hair.
He is Caillou with Bret Hart sunglasses.
Bret Hart. That's who those were.
Yeah, they really were. He was about to give them to an 8-year-old, but he's too selfish, so he wasn't going to give them to anybody. He's going to save them for Randall Cobb.
Those are $8,000 sunglasses. I'm not giving you those, kid. Have a good day.
At this point, Randall Cobb ain't got to do nothing all camp long.
Randall Cobb doesn't have to do anything, period. He's probably not going to do anything, period. How do you feel if you're Alan Lazard or Marquez Valdez-Scantling or one of those dudes? How do you feel about that?
Because Randall Cobb's coming in. He's a capo.
Yeah.
He's a capo.
He's a made man.
You don't talk to the boss, okay? I'll talk to the boss.
Sonny Corleone just came back.
Yeah, I mean, right. He is the consigliere. He's Tom. He's you know what I'm talking about, the Godfather.
Yeah. God.
Amazing.
This is.
And hey, here's the thing I'm waiting to see.
Yeah.
When Aaron Rodgers rolls out of that tunnel, as blue collar a town as that is,
are they going to at least give him some business?
The Boo Birds will be there.
Tom
I
Hagen.
guarantee you.
Oh boy.
Aaron.
Rhett, go watch some football.
Let's go do this, man.
You excited?
Practice number 1. Let's get it done.
Get in the car and listen to Ramon botch this next segment. 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey. Today is a good day for me.
I have a bad feeling.
Rhett, it's going to feel right. Okay?
Okay.
It's going to need to feel right because it won't be right. That's next. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Ryan Tannehill, Julio Jones, and Derrick Henry. They live here. I mean, like, not really like here in the building, but you know what we mean. On the Titans station.
104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Schaefer with JMart and Ramon. Score a major payday with BetMGM. It's the best time to sign up for the King of Sportsbooks because they're giving new customers a shot at an easy
Jeff is 24 today.
Jeff
As
Simmons'
Titans start
birthday?
Big Jeff. Jeffrey Simmons is 24.
Happy birthday, horn. Reggae horns, baby.
All right, birthdays. It's going to be rough, bro.
Nah, I got this one today. Whew,
Elizabeth Berkley is 49.
She was in Meet the Spartans. Ever heard of that one?
I'd have to look that up to make sure because I know it was a. But no, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
24, Brent says.
24?
For Will.
Will's 24?
Yep.
Wow. Good job. Look at me.
You want to try again?
No. Was she in Street Kings with Keanu Reeves?
No.
Was not?
No.
Tales from the Hood?
No.
Not in that one either.
She was Jessie Spano in Saved by the Bell.
Come on, man. Oh, the cousin's going to be mad at me for that one.
I'm checking something here.
What, that I'm right?
I'm just double checking to make
I
sure.
could be right, man.
First off, where did Meet the Spartans come from other than you Googling names?
Don't worry about that.
You looked it up, didn't you?
No, I did.
I'm going to double check because she's done a lot of terrible stuff. So she might have actually done this movie. Don't be.
I crushed
Don't
Jason
be in this
today.
movie.
I win. I crushed him.
Nope, she's not in it. But I had to stop because I'm like, she could have been.
I had your thinking caps on right there. That's a win for me.
I mean, you look at a list of people who were in this film. It was not exactly a who's who. There were a few people, but
I crushed you.
She was Jessie Spano in Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
Lori Loughlin is 57.
Lori Loughlin. So, Full House.
That's right.
Yep.
What else is she? What else is she known for?
Don't matter. I just need one.
No, that's right. What else is she known for?
The college scandal.
There you go.
The Netflix scandal.
There we go.
That's how many. What she do? 30 days behind her house.
Sally Struthers is 74.
Only Sally we recognize is Jessie from the TV show. Oh, I'll take a stab at it. Let's go. Barbershop 2, Back in Business.
You stabbed at it, all right. You missed.
I missed.
You're going for the steak and you hit the table.
Hit the table.
She was in All in the Family.
We've had All in the Family a lot
Norman
lately.
Lear yesterday.
Yeah.
But she also was she's the one that did the ads that have been spoofed a lot for like, save a child.
I'm not laughing.
For 40 cents a day, all this other kind of stuff because they're starving. And the joke was always she was putting on more and more weight. It's like, so where is the money going?
Cold world.
I'm just explaining what it was. I'm not accommodating and or speaking to it past that. Yes, very much a cold world. Jim Davis is 76.
Hey, he was the best friend of Bill Bellamy in How to Be a Player.
Close.
Close?
No.
How far was I off?
Pretty far off, man.
You said close, though.
He created Garfield.
What?
$800 million is what he's worth.
Who? From the cat? Hey, all right.
Could have done a whole lot of other things in his life. You know what he kept doing?
What?
Garfield.
Why?
Same
Why switch
jokes.
up?
Didn't need to change. Just nope. Garfield's enough.
Yep.
He had all sorts of options to do other stuff, and he said, "Nah, Garfield's all right. Lasagna and I hate Mondays."
$800 million.
$800 million.
Man.
John David Washington. It's his birthday today, Mo.
John David Washington. Is that Denzel's son?
No.
That's not Denzel's son. Okay. Was he in Straight Outta Compton?
He was not. Although that's not like terribly far off in terms of some of the things he's done.
Was he in 187 with Samuel L. Jackson?
Definitely not.
That's my best guess.
John David Washington was in Tenet.
Mm.
Christopher Nolan film a couple years ago. He's also in Black Klansman.
That's Denzel's son.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I didn't know that.
He also was a former NFL player, by the way.
Wait a second.
Denzel's son.
Oh, see, I looked at Malcolm and Marie as his parents. Apparently, that was just a character he did, or something else that he had done. So, okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Andrew.
I got you.
Fine.
Me and you, baby.
That's fine. That's fine. I didn't realize that was Denzel's son. I really didn't.
Yep.
I didn't know.
He tries to shake that, actually.
Well, that's good. Everybody's saying, yes, it's Denzel's son. I get it. I was wrong on that one. All right. This is where you lose, though.
All right, let's go.
DeAndre Cortez Way is 31.
DeAndre Cortez, was he in Catwoman?
Nope.
What about That's My Boy?
Nope.
Guardians?
Nope.
Cats?
Nope.
Wasn't in Cats either?
He's Soldier Boy, Moan.
What are you looking at?
Don't worry about my study search over here, Andrew. I got tabs open over here, man. This is my study sheet.
Well, you're just reading off every musical in the book.
Maybe
I'm still shook because I didn't know John David Washington was Denzel Washington until today.
He's actually a really good
I just knew who he was.
actor.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know it had anything to do with Denzel.
He's been solid as of late.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, when your dad's Denzel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you could say it's nepotism, and then sometimes, like, Mike Golick Jr. got his gig because Mike Golick was his father, but then they were like, wait, he's actually really good.
He's really good at this.
Same thing with John David Washington.
Yeah.
I had absolutely no idea. So you actually did better than I thought, but you missed Soldier Boy, so you lose.
You're right. I lose on that one.
You did not get 3.
I got 3, I
No,
thought.
you didn't. You got 2.
Well, I stumped you on the first one because you took so long to get the answer right.
You got 2.
What'd I get,
Lori
Andrew?
Laughlin and John David
I wasn't
Washington.
listening to the beginning.
Andrew,
so
come
I
on, man.
can't-
Pick a side.
You got 2. Pick the one that's accurate. That's what we do
What
around
feels,
here.
no, what feels right?
You both win.
Moan, do we need to sign Randall Cobb to save this?
No.
Be right back. 4th hour of the program. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
The 3HL, by any means necessary.
By any means necessary. Defense, scoring, taking people out, whatever it is, it's on. You got to win, and it's going down.
The 3HL with Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay. This afternoon starting at 3, 104.5 The
does make sense because they didn't fire Derek Mason quickly. They didn't let that was going on for a long time.
Yep.
I hear myself on my own laptop. My fault. 7.1 roster stability. Okay. 3.0 performance stability. 126 is Western Kentucky. Just to throw that out there. 127, Tennessee.
Just football season now, okay? There's no time for all these lifts anymore.
2.0 coach stability, which how could it be any higher considering how many you've had to go through?
Yeah.
0.7 roster stability might be the low. It is the lowest of all the teams. And the transfer portal has been brutal.
It took us out.
And 6.7 performance stability, which that's better than several teams above them. But combined, you get a 9.4 and 127. And he says only 2 teams have more than 23 guys lost to the transfer portal. Kansas had 27. Tennessee had 37.
Dang.
Kansas is 128, by the way, on this list. Some of those were walk-ons. Not every player a projected difference maker, but the Vols are the dictionary definition of unstable this season. Still enough raw upside that Josh Heupel could create some first-year magic. I won't predict that, but it's possible. But after constant drama on both the two-deep and coaching staff, it's probably best to just not make any predictions about the Vols either way. That's fair. When you lost that many guys, and he's saying, look, there's some talent here, there's some upside here, but how can you?
Yeah, it is what it is. After hearing the explanation of it, it makes sense. I ain't even tripping off of that.
It's a stability ranking again, and the one thing Tennessee is not is stable yet.
Not in the last few
Heupel had
years.
a chance to be there, but you look at what Pruitt has done and everything else. Yeah, stability rankings, that's tough. The bigger list, though, is Mike Sando's annual list. Used to be with ESPN. Of course, we've had him on the show a couple of times as well. He's with The Athletic. It's his quarterback tiers list, where he talks to executives around the league, he talks to scouts, he talks to all these people, and the quarterbacks are put into tiers. And it is always a very interesting list, a lot of times because of the quotes that are put here. But you've got general managers, 5 head coaches, 11 coordinators, 15 executives, 7 quarterbacks coaches, and 5 others working in front offices or other coaching capacities. That's your panel here. They place 34 veteran quarterbacks into one of 5 tiers, from best to worst. Tier 1 carries his team every week. Team wins because of him. Expertly handles pure passing situations, no real holes in his game. So let's figure out who these people are. The obvious ones, there's 2 for real. There's 2 that are just obvious with age not being a factor. It's Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes.
Yep, that's my 2.
Those are tied for number 1. Number 3 would be
Tom.
Yep. 4.
4 would be Josh Allen.
That's Russ.
Russ, God, why I keep forgetting?
Deshaun is 5.
By the way, another breaking news: walking out on the Texans field, Deshaun Watson. Yep. Videotape of him walking to practice. Go ahead, though.
Tier 2. Carries his team sometimes, but not as consistently. Can handle pure passing situations in doses and or possesses other dimensions that are special enough to elevate him above Tier 3. Has a hole or 2 in his game.
Josh.
Yeah, he's number 6.
Ben.
Lamar is 7.
Lamar.
Matthew Stafford is tied for 7.
I'm kind of overhearing that. I need to see something now that he's on a new team.
Dak is 9.
Dak is back. Yep.
Justin Herbert tied for 9.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Ryan is 11.
Okay.
Kyler Murray is 12. 30 Tier 2 votes. 18 Tier 3 votes, 2 Tier 4 votes. He was a Tier 3 player last year, so he stepped up with the 30 votes. He got 30 there. Matt Ryan, by the way, had 32 Tier 2 votes. Justin Herbert had 37, had 4 Tier 1 votes. That's crazy to me.
Who did?
Justin Herbert. He hasn't been doing this long enough to put him there. I'm sorry.
Not enough.
Dak Prescott had 1 Tier 1 vote, 41 Tier 2. And Matthew Stafford, 38 Tier 2. Same thing for Lamar. Both of them also had 4 Tier 1 votes. Okay, so that's Matt Ryan and Kyler Murray. And then comes number 13, Ryan Tannehill. 27 Tier 2 votes, 23 Tier 3 votes. Last year, he was a Tier 3 quarterback.
It's Tier 2 now?
Tier 2 quarterback now. The 27 votes for Tannehill in the second tier exceed by 3 his combined total in 6 previous appearances on quarterback tiers ballots. Now some of the quotes. These are always the takeaway pieces. He is a 2 for sure, and he may be verging on a 1, but he's been helped by the system a lot, a former head coach said. He has become a very good decision maker. That is one thing that's lost, and it's the number one thing you look at evaluating these quarterbacks. The physical part is there with all these guys with some variance, but the guys that are the best decision makers. What goes into that, understanding the offense, what the defense is doing, vision, pocket presence. That's from a former head coach that was part of the panel.
Yeah. So I say this. The good thing about it is he's continually working himself up to be better and better and better and better. The recognition that comes along with it will be there, or is the justification of winning the big games also in prime time. Because when Mike brought that up, it's like we can't we can't drop the ball when it comes down to the big time games, and that's something that he needs to put on display moving forward. That ain't a bad assessment, honestly. When we did the breakdown last year on ranking, we had him 12 in the league, somewhere in that range right there, 12 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
That's I mean. If everybody else around you is elite, that's good enough.
Speaking of Mike, I'm going to get to his call before we get to the break. One other question, and then we'll do more of these quotes after this break as well. And I see Brian's on the line. We'll get to you too. Tannehill has arrived, but can he remain in the upper tiers after his offensive coordinator left to become head coach of the Falcons? Is Tannehill basically a high-end Tier 3 quarterback, indistinguishable from a 2, while defense is focused disproportionately on Derrick Henry?
No, because in times of getting the job done, he's done that.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that's okay, one of the points that's made here. So we'll get into some answers that people had to that question when we come back on the other side. But let's get Cuzzo Mike in, because I told him we were going to get to him before the break. And then I should have just gone to him off the top. I didn't realize he was sitting there. We got him here. Cuzzo Mike, Cleveland. What's up, Mike?
Dang, man. Stay tuned.
Uh-oh.
It's with no sound.
Now you breaking up, Mike.
Mike?
Y'all can't hear me?
Nah, we got you now. We just didn't hear what you just said there.
I didn't hear nothing y'all been saying. Shay Fool, a.k.a. Andrew, left me on hold with no sound. I ain't hear nothing. I ain't hear birthdays. I don't even know what y'all was talking about, man. I'm just blind out here.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
You say what?
Andrew said you know how it works.
Oh, is that payback from yesterday?
Nah,
I called you out for biting your nails, your dirty nails.
Nah.
Oh, the petty is flying, Mike. What's on your mind, bro?
Yeah. All right. What's on my mind when y'all was talking about Simone? It made me think about this quote. So actually, I heard Tyler Summit say it on his own, but he was talking about his mother, Pat. And something that she had told him was, men got to look good to play good, and women got to feel good to play good. Basically, a man can have all kind of outside distractions going on, but once they hit the court or the field, whatever it might be, it's kind of like a release for them. But if a female was going through outside distractions and not feeling herself and focus, it'll resonate on the field or on the court with them. And I just thought that was real telling as far as with Simone and her dealing with all the pressure and how it could be, that could be hard for her to get out there and block that out. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just made me think about that Pat Summitt quote. But, yeah, Jay, I also was going to touch on, the message that I sent you. That's real spit, dog. I'll share some insight with the fam. The reason I'm in Cleveland is because, I was battling addiction and to pills and Suboxone strips and smoking a lot of weed, of course. But, I never went to rehab, and I never went to rehab because that's not how my life was set up. And plus, kind of like Cousin P said, I thought I was man enough to do it on my own. Mm-hmm. But like I told you, Jay, I would listen to the Zone still, and you would talk about faith, and I would notice, the way you would talk about it and the way other people would talk about it, it grew my faith. And I read the Bible more. I started going to church about last month. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And with Caples, dog, what you don't know is y'all's problems have helped me through this way of life that I'm going through now. The way I see you treat your old lady just on Twitter and the way you talk about your wife just on Twitter, it's opened me up as far as how I need to treat my old lady. Because we've known each other for years, and we've been addicts together for years, and now we clean together for years. And so hopefully going forward, the way I see y'all treat y'all's wives and the men that y'all are, maybe I'm growing to be that man to where hopefully she ain't listening, but hopefully we will be married in a few years, and we will carry on with a happy, clean, sober marriage. So y'all struggles is helping your boy right now. So I appreciate y'all. That's all love. Cousin P, to see a cop's personality on Twitter has opened me up to cops ain't all, penis heads. Keep it clean. So, that's my truth. And I appreciate y'all and how y'all show y'all love and respect and how y'all show me love and respect. And can't wait to meet y'all in person. That's real speak. Deuces.
Mike, appreciate you, man.
Much appreciated.
That's why I didn't want to do it at the end of an hour, because I had a feeling he had some things on his mind. We're way over, but if you think that we should have gone to break, you're wrong. 615-737-1045. 737-1045. We'll get back into the Tannehill quarterback tier stuff when we come back and take more of your phone calls here. JMart Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
The Install with Greg Cosell gives you an inside look into the film life of
He's number 1. George Kittle, 2 at 96. Darren Waller, 93. Mark Andrews, 88. Hunter Henry, 87. Austin Hooper, 86. Gronk, 86. Gesicki, 85. TJ Hawkinson, 85. And Dallas Goedert, 84. Those are your top 10. I remember Jonnu being 81. We saw that. They released like guys that were moved. So he wouldn't have been top 10. I think he probably top 15 based on that number.
Yeah, no doubt.
Back to the quarterback tiers. This from an executive. I think Tannehill did have to carry the team a little bit more last year because of where they were defensively. I initially had him as a 3, but there's a little bit more body of work playing at that level. The strict definition of 2, that is probably more fair to him. Again, that's a guy that a tier 2 quarterback in the league isn't one that is going to win by himself, a guy that wills you to a victory necessarily. He is somebody that can carry his team sometimes, but not as consistently. He can handle pure passing situations in doses and or possesses other dimensions special enough to elevate him above tier 3, has a hole or two in his games. These are Mike Sando's annual quarterback tier rankings, which he used to do for ESPN. Now he does them for The Athletic. And what's always most interesting is not necessarily where the guys are, but what people say about them.
Yeah.
The top 5 was Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, and then tied at 1, Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. And then tier 2 begins with Josh Allen at 6. Goes to Lamar Jackson and Matthew Stafford tied at 7. Dak at 9. Justin Herbert at 9, tied. Matt Ryan 11. Kyler Murray 12. And now Ryan Tannehill 13. Now, he's always been a tier 3 guy at best. He was a tier 3 guy last year. Had 27 tier 2 votes this year. 23 tier 3 votes. So kind of split. But, again, the point that we made off the top was, and Sando writes it this way, the 27 votes for Tannehill in the second tier exceed by 3 his combined total in 6 previous appearances on quarterback tiers ballots. So, let's see. Tennessee is real heavy in the run game, a defensive coach said. Cleveland jumped on them, and when they came back, it wasn't like Tannehill was beating them with accurate throws down the field. It was just take what the defense gives you, hit a play here or there.
It ain't wrong. It's reality of what he's given us so far.
Offensive coordinator said the only thing that really lingers with me, and maybe it shouldn't, is the playoff game, the 2013 loss to Baltimore. When he had to make some throws, he didn't make them. He did not elevate them when they needed him to elevate them, but that's a 2 sometimes always. Also,
yeah,
a guy that's not going to do it all the time, but can show flashes of it.
That's an appropriate ranking for him. I mean, it sounds like they're being level-headed in the critique of Ryan Tannehill. So it's a matter of making sure he's got the right guys around him. Period.
The thing is, he has them.
Yeah, he has them. So is it more pressure on him this year to do those level 2 type things? I think it may be. We got to start getting those type of answers from him, though.
Sando says Tennessee, the only team to finish 2020 with a winning record, 11-5, while ranking among the bottom 8 in combined EPA on defense and special teams. The offense was second. The other top 5 offenses had Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, and Brady as their quarterbacks. That level of production and consistent winning, even if enabled by the Titans' unusual offensive setup, helped Tannehill crack tier 2 for the first time. I'm curious to know if people feel that's a slight in terms of where he ranks. I don't necessarily think it's a slight. The only thing that the only real problems I have is I would put Tannehill above Kyler Murray, which I said in the top 10 rankings. I would put him above. I find it hard to put Justin Herbert in, like, up there with Josh Allen and stuff like that. Like, I need to see a little bit more. If he does the same thing again this year, we can have that discussion.
Yeah.
There are 4 people to put him in the first tier. Who are those people? Like, how do you do that? I don't understand that. And then 14 on this list, who also had the same number of tier 2 votes as Ryan Tannehill, is Joe Burrow. Which I also think, you like what you saw, but can we see a little bit more?
Still premature on that one. I think that just respectfully, they should have been put in like tier 2, tier 3-ish.
So here's tier 3. Derek Carr, 15. Ben, 16. One person has him tier 1, which is just, I guess that person was just like unfrozen after being 10 years. He's seeing what he was. Baker Mayfield, 17. Kirk Cousins, 18. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, 19. Jimmy Garoppolo, 21. And then it goes down from there.
I'm really not high on Jimmy G.
I'm not either.
Wow.
I'm higher on him than I am Carson Wentz.
Yeah,
until I see something else.
Yeah.
Like, the question is this, and I see this popping up. I see Josh is in our YouTube chat where you can hang out with the fam saying this is more Tannehill disrespect. I don't know if it is disrespect because Tier 2 is what he is. He's not a Tier 1 guy.
Mm-hmm.
Should he be a little higher up? Should he have gotten a few more votes and been higher up in Tier 2? Maybe. But he's still deemed in that Tier 2 ranking. I think Tier 2 is exactly what Ryan Tannehill is.
He's got enough to get the job done, and you don't have to ask much of him. He's the guy that you walk into the stadium with confidently, though. But when we talk about what Patrick is doing, what Aaron Rodgers is doing, then there's a separator. We got to be honest about that. And I don't think that's disrespectful.
Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson. That's the first tier.
Practicing Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, like Deshaun Watson being able to play.
Yeah.
Tannehill's not in that list.
No.
But he's not far off anybody else that's not on that list. Like Josh Allen, I think we need to see one more year of this, but I'm fine with him being number 1 in Tier 2. No question about that.
I think if we get to the point to where we're talking about, okay, well, prove it. Why? That was a bad Houston team last year. And they took the Titans into 2 overtimes, I think it was, last year. Think about what Deshaun Watson did.
You
know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. We had the argument, Deshaun and Ryan Tannehill. We had that argument just to see where people were. And look, Deshaun's going to win that battle.
Yeah, he's going to win that battle right there. I mean, he almost won it last year against his team in Nashville on the road with a dysfunctional, just bad team in Houston.
And point by Lonzo Wright in YouTube that I just saw pop up is right. But Tannehill doesn't have to be a Tier 1.
No,
he doesn't.
That's fine.
He doesn't. He's never going to have to prove Tier 1, so he's probably never going to be Tier 1.
Okay, so to that same point, and look at all the tools and weapons that Ryan Tannehill has. Now, to Aaron Rodgers' defense, this is what he was looking for in Green Bay. If he had these weapons that Ryan Tannehill has as a Tier 1 quarterback, that's what you're looking for. Look at what Patrick Mahomes is able to do in Kansas City with those weapons that he has. So I know the power struggle that Aaron Rodgers has with his group in Green Bay is doing and saying a lot, but Ryan Tannehill's got way more weapons than him right now.
Yeah, and if you look at it, Johnny Coffey, who may be a new listener in YouTube, says, who are Tier 2 quarterbacks who won a Super Bowl? Well, Ben Roethlisberger's won 2. And that might, that's a Tier 3. I'm sorry.
Has there been an AFC championship showing in that group right there? AFC, NFC championship quarterback?
Let's see. There's some Tier 3s that may have even gotten there, and just like I said, Roethlisberger's a Tier 3 this year, but Joe Burrow obviously not.
No.
Tannehill has made it to an AFC championship game. Kyler Murray, no. Matt Ryan's made a Super Bowl that he should have won.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, not yet.
No.
Dak Prescott, no.
Oh.
He hasn't played in a championship
That team
game.
was terrible without him. No, he hasn't played in one.
Matthew Stafford.
Gosh, no.
Not quite. Lamar Jackson, no. They've won one playoff game. And Josh Allen, and they made a championship game.
A support system got to be there. And of that group right there, Josh Allen, too. Well, it's 2 quarterbacks that's made AFC championship games or conference championship games.
And you'd have to go back through the list and see who was Tier 2 in the past that's retired out now that might have been there. Like, I think Phillip Rivers probably would have been a Tier 2 guy at times.
He's right.
Late in his career.
Jimmy G. He's Tier 3, though, right?
He may be Tier 4, or he's pretty close to Tier 4 at least. He's 21 on this list. No, okay, he's like the very bottom. You've got Daniel Jones at 22, Fitzpatrick at 23, and then Tier 4.
Yeah.
So he's just barely a Tier 3 quarterback according to this list.
In history, though, like Johnny Cobb was asking, in history, though, as far as who's been Tier 1, Tier 3, like you can say Eli, but Eli played well. Was Peyton his last Super Bowl a Tier 2?
Yeah, but he didn't win. They won with him, but not because of him.
Yeah.
In terms of Eli, I would say is a Tier 2. When they were ranking him, I don't know if they did the rankings at the beginning of his career, but if you go further, I definitely think He was tier 2 throughout.
We're
a lot
talking
of his
about
career.
historically though. When Ben was rolling, I can't let the disrespect. Like he willed wins by himself for the most
Oh,
part.
I agree.
Yeah, but we're talking currently. The only reason I brought that up is Johnny was like he mean in history. Like who's a tier 2? Seattle Seahawks. When they no.
I mean, Russ is the one that won for them. He made a Super Bowl with Dilfer. Or whatever.
Baltimore, tier 2 quarterback that won it for him years back. Flacco and who's before him?
Dilfer.
Gosh, yeah. Was he tier 2? If we're being real,
No.
he was. He was tier
Dilfer,
1.
Dilfer was probably tier 4.
Okay.
Tier 3, maybe.
But you got to have a great support system in those type of
I can
situations.
say Flacco probably was 2.
Flacco was 2. Who else has won in recent history?
Nick Foles is obviously tier 12.
Tier
or whatever.
12.
No, he's like tier 4 or 5.
And before then, Carson Wentz was tier 3, if we're being honest.
At that point in time, I think people saw him
as a 1,
yeah,
probably, which is why he got the
I had
keys
him on
to
the outside of
franchise.
1 before the injury. Jared Goff made it to a Super Bowl.
Tier 2, 3.
Probably 3. I don't know if they ever had him 2. He's 19th this year, tied for 19th. He had 2 votes in tier 2, 43 in tier 3. And he was a tier 3 guy last year. He was Goff peaked in tier 2 heading into the 2019 season.
Drew Brees, was he 1 or 2 when he won it?
Oh, I would say he was 1.
He was 1
throughout his career.
And his other NFC championships, has he been a 2, tier 2?
I would say he was a tier 2 last year.
Okay.
I don't know for sure just because he's retired and he's not in the list anymore, but I would say that's probably about right. Cam is right now a tier 4 quarterback at 27.
Yeah.
And Cam played the Super Bowl as an MVP.
At the time, he was 1.
The point more than anything else is, like, this is instructive and interesting to see some of the quotes from people, but it doesn't mean anything. Flacco, by the way, is 34 on this list.
That's about
this year. I'd say that's probably right. He's dead last. But I think that's more is. Just like, what are you going to do when you get out there? If you look at Tannehill, 13 is not bad. Being in tier 2 is not bad. And when you have the talent that you have around you, you're probably always going to lose a little bit of steam because so much attention is going to go elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%.
That's just the way that goes.
And again, to defend Aaron Rodgers, him being a tier 1, a guy that can win the game, in order to beat Tampa Bay, he needed more weapons. He's needed them for the last few years. I think championships is on his mind. But to Ryan Tannehill's point, he's doing exactly what you need him to. Period. That's all that's needed from Ryan Tannehill right now. Is to just win, make the plays where you're supposed to, and I think that is A-okay.
I mean, that's right. I mean,
it ain't disrespectful either.
It's not. I think that's about where he should be. I can understand why you would vote, why you would put him there. He's gone up. He was a tier 3 guy that's now a tier 2 guy. He's a guy that you see one former head coach saying he may be verging on a 1. So people realize Ryan Tannehill can play. Inside the NFL, they definitely realize he can play.
Absolutely. We get practice today, though, man. We get football and shorts today, Jay. We get an opportunity today, I think, for the most part, if you're not on the PUP or NFI, then you get an opportunity to be out on the field. That's going to be good. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be good, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction to this. The Titans practice opening up today.
No, I agree. I think that this is the season where I just feel like there's a ton of anticipation. Everybody's really excited about this. Everybody's excited about the prospects of this team. When we listed our contenders in the first segment of the show or first hour of the show, we had 9 that we came up with.
Yeah,
Tennessee's on that list.
Yep,
and I didn't have to think about it. I'm like, no, they're a contender.
There's people making their lists out here also still on my Twitter feed too. It's actually pretty interesting. You got AFC, KC, Bills, Titans, Steelers is what somebody said. NFC, Bucks, Packers, Seahawks, Rams.
Yeah. Mitchell Singer, never seen his name before, pops up on YouTube watching 104.5 Zone TV, says, statistically and success speaking, Taney's a tier 1 player. He's a starting quarterback for the Titans with the 4th highest QBR rating last year. Well, statistics aren't always going to do it. The question that people were asking to put you in a tier 1 is consistently, you're the reason they're winning.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You're the guy that wills them to win when everything else is wrong. Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Like if you look at the tier 1 guys, he's not a tier 1 guy.
Yeah, no.
He is a tier 2. I think tier 2 is actually kind of an attaboy, Ryan Tannehill. I don't think that. I think that shows how good he's been.
He's moved his way up.
He continues to move his way up. And this year, he's going to have every opportunity to put on some ridiculous numbers with the talent around him.
I'm waiting to see what these stats are going to look like this year with this extra game. I want to know what's going to be the new baseline for a guy like Nuck Hopkins.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to get his targets.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
So what's his numbers going to look like compared to the 16-game schedule?
Like 1,500 yards.
Oh, my gosh.
Stuff like that.
It's got to be, if somebody hits 2,100, depending, that's going to be wild.
Michael DeJesus, real quick on line 1 before we get to break. What's going on, buddy?
Hi, man. How you doing today?
Good.
Morning.
Morning. I just wanted to talk about that mental health stuff. So, it's one of the most serious things that most guys don't ever talk about. Like, don't nobody really know this, but when I was a teenager, I was in and out of jail quite a bit. I was homeless, sleeping in people's backyards. And I was to the point where, I was kind of just felt I had abandonment issues from my father and stuff. And just not talking about that stuff, it just eats at you every single day. And it's just so important to talk about it to other guys. And, man, once I finally gave my life to Christ like 4 or 5 years ago, my life has changed, and I was able to break free of those chains that held me down, and the unforgiveness, not forgiving people and forgiving myself. And just mentally I felt so much better. So just being able to talk to other people about it and just, man, getting that feedback and getting that stuff off your chest, man, it's just such a big burden that just gets lifted off of you. That's so important. So I just, man, if anybody's having any kind of issues like that, man, I just talk about it. It just helps so much just talking about it. So that's all I got to say, guys. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Much appreciated.
Amen to that, Michael. Amen to that. He broke the chains for you. So we have a midweek motivation coming up. I think we've already had a couple of motivational calls just in this hour from Cousin Mike and Michael DeJesus. Inky Johnson is going to send us off on the right pathway. You're already smiling because the Titans are practicing football today. Buck's going to be out there live. The GM's going to be with him in the second hour of the show. It's going to be a great day across 104.5 The Zone. It's a hump day, and honestly, I've figured out Wednesday seems to be the day I'm down. I've just noticed that as of late. On Wednesdays, just like life hits me for some reason. I'm good for the rest of the week, but Wednesday's been a rough day for some reason. This Wednesday feels a little bit different. We're going to try and do that for all of you and pick you up with Inky Johnson and the midweek motivation to finish us up next. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey are paid for results.
Yeah, you could put a good recruiting class together. Boom.
Yeah.
You're paid for results, not actual recruiting classes.
Blaine Bishop and Mickey Ryan. Blaine and Mickey. This afternoon, 1 to 3 on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Schaefer with JMart.
Titans are one of those 10 teams. He says there'll be some people in masks that you'll see them out there in masks. That's because they've either had one shot and they're waiting on the second, or they're waiting on results over blah, 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 or whatever these other deals are, but they're 90% or above. So if that's something that has been of concern to you, no longer does that need to be of concern to you. Deshaun Watson is on the field throwing footballs. A lot of talk. We'll comment on much of it today and much of it tomorrow. Across the zone today and with us tomorrow morning, certainly. Schaefer will be back tomorrow as well. And then we've talked a lot about mental health today with the Simone Biles story, trying to take that from as much of a nuanced point of view as you can. But you guys have lifted us up today. Cuzzo Mike calling in and Michael DeJesus both with heartfelt stories of overcoming adversity and challenges and addiction and homelessness and all these things, and speaking about their faith, about the importance of Christ in their life. And this is definitely one of my favorite shows that I've done in terms of what you guys have brought. And I tweeted out a little while ago, I said, you guys are the show. We just have the microphones. Sometimes it's more true than others. Sometimes there's a little bit more leaning on us, I guess. But a lot of times it's absolutely you guys. And today it absolutely has been. So we've already been brought up. And we've got football back today. So we're all excited. But we still need to be motivated.
Man.
So Wednesday, we finish off always this way. If you're new to the program, you'll always appreciate this. We bring in our brother, Inky Johnson, to motivate us. Inky, how are you today?
Man, I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good, man. We're good. We've had some listeners today that have done their best Inky Johnson impressions, told us some real tough stories of overcoming adversity and their faith, and it's been a great day.
It has, Ink. Hey,
that's awesome, man.
And Holbert said he's listening this morning. Our former teammate and VFL brother, man. So you really got to motivate this morning, Ink. I ain't trying to throw no extra pressure on you.
I really got to motivate.
But Dave is listening. He needed more than most, okay?
I got you, man. I got you. I just got off stage, too. It's funny. I just got off stage here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I brought a message to him this morning, man, about you never know when it's coming back, right? And so I believe in living life by the law of reciprocity, right? You do things and you get what you give. And so I shared the story about, earlier in the year when me and my son was in an accident, right? And when we was in this accident, our truck flipped over, and by the grace of God, man, we came out okay. But I shared the portion of the story to where it was storming, it was raining, and right after our truck had flipped and I got out and I grabbed my son and we were standing in the rain and it was pouring, a car drives up and a gentleman rolls down his window and says, "Hey, Ink, are you okay? Is everything good?" Now, I had never seen this guy in my life, right? So I thought. And so I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." He was like, "I'm going to pull over, right? So you and your son can get in the car." And so we get in the back seat and my son looks at me and says, "Hey, Dad, man, your arm is bleeding." So I say to the guy, "Hey, man, I'm going to step out of the car. If you don't mind, can my son just stay in the back seat? I don't want to drip any blood on your seat, and I'll clean up whatever has already dripped on your seat." And he was like, "No problem." And so we step out of the car, and we're standing there in the rain, and he says to me, "You don't remember me, huh?" And I was like, "Nah, I can't say I do." And to be honest with you guys, I really wasn't trying to, because we had just been in an accident. We had just flipped over. I was just trying to get a grasp on the situation. So I was like, "Nah, I can't say that I do." And so he poses the question again. He said, "You don't remember me, huh?" I said, "Nah, man, I can't say that I do." And he pulls out his phone, right? And when he pulls out his phone, it's a picture of me and him in an airport. And he says to me, 2020 was the toughest year of my life. And he said, "Last year I was walking through an airport and I saw you." And he said, "You was doing some work. You was looking at some videos that you had done." And he said, "I thought to myself, man, I should leave him be and just walk by." And he said, "But I stopped." And he said, "You were gracious to me. You stopped. You took a picture with me." And he said, "When I walked off, I said, man, if I ever see him again, I want to stop and let him know how much I appreciate what he does every single day." And so he said, when I was getting off the ramp and I saw you guys had been in an accident, that was my moment to stop and pay back what you had done for me my whole life in terms of 2020 and what I was going through. Watching your videos, speaking to you, reaching out to you. He said, "I just wanted to give it back to you." And I said, "Man, that's amazing, right?" Because I never thought me stopping for a guy in the airport will lead to one day him stopping from me and my son during one of the darkest moments of our life. And so the next time somebody stops you and you can give them a kind word, the next time you can encourage someone, the next time you can inspire, motivate, or just share a kind word to someone, remember, it can come back to you at the strangest time, at the toughest time, at the most uncertain time. The law of reciprocity. Go be great.
From preseason, regular season, and the playoffs, we got you covered. Oh, wow. The Titan Station, 104.5 The Zone.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute. What were the odds just a few short weeks, perhaps even a few days ago, that Aaron Rodgers would waltz into the Packers training camp as if nothing has ever happened? While the Jets' second overall draft pick, Zach Wilson, is holding out over contract technicalities, but it was a sure bet that COVID-19 would continue to dominate the training camp headlines. There were several kerfuffles over the NFL's mandate that teams must identify and distinguish unvaccinated players during training camp. Several teams are using different colored wristbands for those who have been inoculated and for those who have not. While 14 of the league's 32 teams claim a 90% player vaccination level, Washington coach Ron Rivera declared that he's beyond frustrated that his club is merely over 50% vaccinated. This comes after he brought in a vaccine science expert to address the players and answer their questions last month. Come on, guys. We need to get vaccinated. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Hey, frequent heartburn may keep you from running your A game, but it doesn't have to anymore. Join the Prilosec OTC 2-week challenge. Just go to Prilosec